Start recording.
Yeah.
Now we're recording. And we might be live. I don't even know.
No, well, yeah, we might be.
Oh, no, it's only 7:58. Well, we might be. This part might be getting
This
streamed.
part
I have no idea.
Might be live by the... We might be talking to the future.
Hello, future.
Or
if you can hear us...
you might be listening to the past.
I have nothing prescient to say.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
The tiny company I used to work for bought another tiny company today. Or they announced it.
So now they're just a small company instead of a tiny company?
Actually, I don't know how small the other company is. They don't sound big, but I didn't really look into it. I just saw the, TSX stock announcement thing that this public company is buying this public company. Congratulations, everybody.
What the crap? I'm currently paying $55 a month for Heather's phone for 3 gigs.
Yeah, that used to be good.
All right.
That's actually not, I mean, that's not, it's not $60 for 10, but it's not bad. Like, Aaron and I think we were on the same plan. We wound up, we both switched to this plan, and we're saving, $40 a month. And we went from sharing 2 gigs to having 10 apiece now.
Yeah.
Should just play news music just in case.
Oh, and that plan isn't actually even offered anymore. Oh, yeah, it is.
It's 8 p.m. on my computer.
Hey, it's 8 p.m. on my computer.
We're probably live.
We've got someone watching us.
I'm looking up at the... That was sort of funny. Hello, everybody who's watching this. I don't know if you can even hear this. I should probably mute this, because that's just gonna...
That's just good. It's Bourbon Zeppelins, episode 11 for December 20th, 2000. It's the 20th, right?
Yeah.
My watch is wrong.
Oh, good. I got microphone. Oh, because that's still open. I can't actually hear my desktop audio. Now I'm just playing an entire album of news music.
For December 20th, 2017.
We're professional. Hi, everybody. I'm David Hughes. Welcome to episode 11, like Jeremy said 3 times. That's Jeremy.
I'm Jeremy.
So, today's episode is a very special episode of Bourbon and Zeppelins.
Because it's episode 11.
That's 2 1s. That's like the first episode for a second time.
First episode, once again.
So today we are...
A little bit louder and a little bit worse. No, that's a different song.
Well, that does describe each episode. A little bit louder and a little bit worse than the last one. Because we're celebrating today, I brought in some bourbon. I didn't bring anything else. So no honey, no sugar. We're just gonna have glasses and bourbon.
What could go wrong?
Hi, Mom. Yeah. Also on today's very special show, we don't have anything to talk about. Oh, man.
So we're talking about everything.
There's just wax crap going everywhere. Oh, God.
Don't get it in the glasses.
I'm more worried about my keyboard.
Keep it away from the cookies and the glasses.
You have a garbage can. Like a mobile one. I don't just want to huck it on your floor. I mean, I do just want to huck it on the floor.
I know you just want to huck it on the floor.
I'm trying to be a good guest.
All right.
I'm being a good guest.
Uh-huh.
Don't get used to it. God, my hands are a mess. Smells
good?
Yeah. They're nice fancy glasses.
Oh, it's a fancy drink. All right.
Oh, look at that for eyeballing.
You've got 2 eyeballs.
It's like I've poured drinks before.
Yep. I don't know why you're bothering with that.
That was already closed. I don't. It wasn't moving any further because it was in all the way. There's a life pro tip for you, for you kids. If it's in all the way, it won't go any further.
Stop pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, so because it's a very special episode, because it's Christmas. This is our Christmas special.
This is our Christmas special.
And it's episode 11, so that's 2 1s, like I said. Is there anything else that was relevant about that I don't know what the hell I was going on about. But we don't have any topics. We've no topics, nothing to talk about.
So, this week in the Bourbon and the Zeppelins, what'd you do this weekend?
What did I do this weekend? I don't remember. I have no idea what I did this weekend.
Okay, well,
I think I had some friends over on Friday. Yeah.
Well,
I had
the bourbon was full right now, so.
Oh, not the bottle I opened on Friday.
I see.
So, yeah, it was weird. Like, I didn't think I was drinking that much, and then like I remember my friends leaving, and then I sort of woke up in the morning, and
and then it was Saturday. That's how you know it was a great night.
Yeah, no, it was fun. Well, for me, I think. Anyway, probably.
That's very delicious bourbon.
Good. I haven't even tried this yet.
Well,
I've never had this stuff.
Getting ahead of you here. So,
and yourself, what did you do?
Well, my Friday night was Christmas party or a Christmas concert. One of the Christmas concerts for my kids. Got out to the West End. Went to go start my car again, and nothing. That's the sound it made.
Oh,
yeah. So
it's an Audi.
That's right. So got it boosted, got it home. So it ran fine once it was boosted.
Yes.
So most of the time you think that, okay, that's your battery gone.
Yeah, or your alternator.
Well, if it keeps running. Oh, and there's nothing in the battery. Battery is like dead.
Yeah.
Completely like doesn't even like turn the lights on in the car. Like completely
right.
Dead as a doornail, dead, no juice.
Well, it could be a loose connection.
Yeah. All of those.
I feel like you've probably already solved this problem.
I've solved the problem already, but you know where. So you're in the mindset that I was in Friday night. Mm-hmm. What the crap? Backstory: brand new battery last year.
Right.
So shouldn't be bad battery.
Shouldn't be bad.
So then I'm thinking alternator may be the culprit, except that it runs when it started, and if there's no juice in the battery, the alternator's obviously making juice.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I tested the alternator, and I was getting just over 14.5 volts out of the alternator. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who aren't car people, that's the right amount of volts to get out of the alternator. It's supposed to be producing that much.
I believe them.
Yep. I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so yeah, Saturday was a Christmas party, and Sunday then was crawling around in my garage trying to replace the alternator in my Audi TT. And for the first time of owning that car, I hated my car because you need to have little tiny baby hands to get into everywhere where you need to, and also
because it's a lady's car.
Well, I don't think that's the reason. No, it was you had to like take a whole bunch of stuff off just to see the alternator.
Yeah.
And then you had to like maneuver hoses and things firmly around to get the alternator out. And then the new one, was a jerk to get back in.
I'm looking forward to the day where I can just fix any car just by hooking my laptop up to it.
I diagnose it now, just with an app on my phone. Yeah. I've got a specific Volkswagen Audi Golf, and I realize I don't know why it's VAG Volkswagen Audi Golf, because Golf is technically a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just what. Anyway, it's a specific.
It's a terrible acronym.
I know,
for a number of reasons.
Reader. It is. That I paid to like get the app that like goes through, right, diagnoses the whole thing. I can actually reprogram the ECU.
That's cool.
With it. So
is it just like Bluetooth, or do you have like a
Bluetooth to the dongle, and then the dongle?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the app reads all of the extra codes for the for the specific make and model. All the rest, so lots of crawling around in my garage, which is very fun. It's normally how I relax myself. Mm-hmm. It's normally like my de-stressing time, decompression time is pulling wrenches in my garage, but it's not so much when it's forced upon you.
Mm-hmm.
On a day you'd rather be like sleeping.
That's every day.
Well,
I always just want to be sleeping.
I would always rather be sleeping. That's often the case. Anyway, that was my weekend. It was very full.
It's good. Mine feels very empty, but I don't know what I did.
That's the wonderful thing. Best office line ever. What'd you do this weekend? Nothing. And it was everything I thought it could be.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so now we've caught up to today.
Yeah. Is anyone watching? Is Pam watching?
I don't know. Who's there? Pam's there. I'm assuming the one is the Pam.
Could be.
Or the one is the me.
Could be.
We still haven't figured that
also.
part out.
We still don't know. We still can't tell if
still
that
don't
one
know.
is us or not. That one was there before, right?
You're recording too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
No,
it wasn't there
On
before.
the ball today. Oh.
So I don't know.
I don't know then. Okay. So time for some words on the screen. This week in gun violence. No gun violence this week.
There was nobody that got hurt with guns this week.
As far as I can tell.
At least nothing that made it up to the Canadian news, probably because our news was so preoccupied and filled with JT apologizing.
Yeah, and people getting new cell plans.
And net neutrality being repealed.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is the end of the world. It's one of the two signs of the apocalypse. Apocalypse.
Yes.
The other sign, of course, is the Republican tax bill being passed.
Yes.
So 2 of the 4 are down. I think there are 4. So
yeah.
We're like halfway there.
There's a couple coming along.
Excellent. Do we want to say anything about any of that stuff?
I don't know. We can talk about all of it because we have nothing to talk about. So let's start with
Want to start south of the border?
yeah, let's start with net neutrality.
Is this the end of the world?
Long term, yes. Short term, no. I think.
I agree.
So, with net neutrality being gone in the States, like I don't think it's going to affect Canada right away in any noticeable manner, because the Canadian government did double down on their commitment to net neutrality. Like they were very stern about
Like
it.
afterwards?
Yeah, after it got repealed in the States. I don't know exactly what they said, but like I can paraphrase. It was, hey, we're all about net neutrality, so don't worry, Canadians, we aren't going to get rid of net neutrality. We promise. And then the CRTC, got back into bed with Bell and Rogers and Telus. And then Player 4 appeared out of nowhere. Shaw!
My hero.
They bought or created, I think they bought Freedom Mobile and offered a really good plan, a really good data plan, 10
For
gigs
Canada.
For Canada. Let's qualify that. A really good plan for Canada, kind of a terrible plan anywhere else. But good for us.
Getting closer to
good.
good.
It was 10 gigs for $50 a month. And so then the big three had to respond. And they said, hey, because we have coverage that's not just in like 6 places in Canada, we will offer you 10 gigs for $60 a month.
Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal.
Not even.
That's 6. That's my top 6.
Oh, yeah. It was like, sorry, it's a little bit more than 6, but it's like, it's a bunch of places in BC. And then I think Edmonton,
Really?
Calgary. Yeah. Then.
Oh, it's going to be West Coast, hey?
Yeah. It's mostly BC and Alberta. And
The places we like.
And Toronto.
The place we didn't.
Yeah. So, yeah, so they were offering that plan.
2 good, 1 bad. Okay.
And anyway, so everyone else is like, hey, don't go there, because if there's one thing cell companies hate, it is losing customers. And it was pretty crazy. The run on the plan was so great that the systems couldn't handle it. So people were...
You'd think it was Obamacare.
Yeah, like people were showing up at the stores, and then the system would crash at the store. You'd phone in, and they'd be like, "You gotta go to the store because our system's not working here," right? And then they figured out that if you switched companies, like they could switch the company, but they couldn't switch the plan. So if you were like Bell, they would tell you to go to Virgin, and if you were Virgin, they would tell you to switch to Bell, just to get the plan.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know,
because they're both the same parent company.
Yeah, those are the same parent company.
So it's not Telus is saying go to Rogers.
No. So Telus and Kudo and Rogers and Fido, right? So it's So those pairs were like, switch back and forth between us, please, and don't go anywhere else. You know, and now with you know, with them having to unlock your phone, you could go anywhere.
Yep.
So that was a real option. Yeah, and then like if you wanted, there was deals where you could get the, I want to say it was the iPhone X, or it might have been. What's the 8's the other one?
The
right?
8, yeah.
It might have been the 8 for an extra $15 a month or something like. No, $20 a month. So your plan would be $80, but then at the end of 2 years, you'd have your iPhone 8 or whatever. If you wanted an iPhone 8. I'm just saying.
Anyway.
Apple, sorry, this is sort of a little bit of a rabbit hole, but this just popped into my head. Apple finally admitted that they are throttling phones with new iOSs as they come out. So they say they're doing it to protect you. So it comes down to your battery. So if you're a phone with an older battery, what they do is they underclock. Right, so if you're supposed to be getting like 1400 megahertz on your chip, they'll crank it down to like 600 megahertz to save your battery life. Because if you have an old battery, no, someone actually tested this where they had their phone and they had an iPhone 7, and you could
7 is not an old phone.
I know. All right, so they have a 7, and they check the CPU speed. There's an app for that. That it was supposed to be at 1400. It was running at 600, and Apple said, "Oh, you know, not to this guy, but they had made an announcement, or someone had found out that it was because the battery was old and couldn't hold like the charge as well." Which is sort of nonsense. Well, not nonsense. It's a little nuts because the 7's not that old, where people's batteries should be not holding charges that well. Anyways, this guy swapped his battery.
Yeah.
Opened up the app again, he was getting the full 1400 megahertz instead of the 600 that he had been getting.
Really?
Yeah. So Apple is saying they're... yeah, go ahead.
How do you
swap your battery?
No, how does the OS understand battery? Yeah, I guess.
Well, it would be able to track your battery life, right?
Yeah,
like it would know what percentage it's at, and it would be able to see how fast it's losing it.
Yeah.
And so there's just something in the code that says we're optimizing battery life over speed right now. And so if the battery life, you know, if the battery's draining at this rate, we need to turn down, you know, underclock, declock, subclock your phone.
Okay.
And then you know, so you replace the battery.
That you replace the battery and it jumps back up
and it gets faster. And the guy says like he can feel the speed difference, like he can feel it in use, obviously not just holding it, but
my phone's moving faster.
Wow! So much power in this battery.
Okay, well, sure.
Yeah.
Why
were we? How did I get on that? Oh, right.
Cell phone.
The cell phone plan.
Cell phone plans.
So yeah, so that sale's over. So sorry if you didn't get your 10 gigs for $60.
I didn't even know that was happening. How did I not know that?
Honestly, I didn't know either.
I was under my car.
Someone at work had sent me a message. Well, sent like a group message out, and I must have either just not seen it or ignored it or something. And then on Monday, which is the day it was supposed to be over, like one of my coworkers was like, "Oh, did you get the 10 gigs for $60?" And I literally had no idea what he was talking about. Like I thought he was talking about.
Okay, so
I thought he was talking about like a USB stick.
Yeah,
like a 10 gig USB stick for $60, and I was like, "That's a terrible, terrible price.
That's
like,
horrible."
And then I was like, "Sorry, who's selling this?" He's like, "Everybody, Rogers and Telus and Bell." And I was like, "Oh, we're talking about cell phones." I was like, "No, I did not know about that." And so I texted my wife, and I was like, "You should switch our phone plans because you're not at work today," and she had the day off. So she called in, and she wound up being tricky and like calling the billing line directly because she couldn't get through to anybody. And then hit zero a bunch of times until she talked to a person, and then that person switched her over. So I guess the recording was telling people like if you're trying to get the that plan, just go to a store. It'll be less painful. And it was not necessarily less painful for a lot of people. I heard a bunch of stories about people lining up for a couple hours, and then it was like their turn, and then the system went down. And then they couldn't get their cell plan. So everyone wound up extending it a day. So you could have got it until yesterday, but you can't get it today.
I wonder if I'll be able to get it tomorrow.
You can always ask.
There's always tomorrow.
Can always ask.
There's a song about that.
Oh,
yeah.
What's it called?
Tomorrow.
From the Annie soundtrack?
From the Annie soundtrack! So, where did we start that rabbit trail?
I don't know. On This Week in Gun
did we
Violence.
start?
I don't know why that's still up there. I'm just going to remove that. That whole time, you thought we were talking about, if someone was watching this without sound, they would have thought we were very excited about this.
Very excited about gun violence. We're not excited about gun violence. We're excited about our cell phones. We started that on net neutrality, right?
Yeah. Yes, that is how that started.
Right.
Man, I'm like really not on the ball when it comes to the words that we're showing. So I'm just going to, hold on. Net.
So with that.
We're still talking about net neutrality, right?
Well, we're just about done it.
Well, whatever.
All right. With
I think I spelled that right. Yes.
Anonymous didn't spell it right. Did you hear about this?
Oh, neutrality. No, it was neutrality. They dropped the R.
They didn't spell neutrality right.
Yes, I did.
When Anonymous, the anonymous hacker group,
4chan,
came out with a declaration of war against the FCC. They hashtagged the wrong spelling of net neutrality. So,
well, they're not perfect.
I'm kind of excited to see if they actually do something here.
It would be interesting.
I would like to see that, because I think generally I've been hearing all kinds of different things for and against net neutrality, and that it allows for competition with the ISPs, and I think that in and of itself would be good, except for the fact that the ISPs in existence don't really play nice with competition, and they don't allow new ISPs to come into existence very easily, which is what would be required for competition.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there was always, they could always compete, right? Like, the whole point of net neutrality was just to stop fast lanes from happening, essentially, right?
Right, which even there, fundamentally, I'm not sure I'm categorically against fast lanes.
I am, categorically. I'll state that right here and now. I'm categorically against fast lanes on the internet. You shouldn't have to pay for something that an ISP doesn't want you to see.
But it's their infrastructure, right? So, like,
it is and it isn't. How much of their infrastructure did they get public funding for?
Okay, and that's sort of where we got to get to at the end of the day. We are going to talk about net neutrality a little bit more here. I think
just
that's
as surprised as you, everybody.
That's the crux of the argument right there. Is internet service a public utility?
It should be. In my opinion.
I could get behind it on either side. Mm-hmm. I feel like I would be favoring it to be a public utility.
I feel like it's supplanted the phone.
Yes. But they're, like, if you talk about, cell phones, are cell phones a utility, or
they should also be a utility. I don't know if they actually... Well, they are under the purview of the FCC still. And they were actually talking about... So one of the things they want to have in the States is like a guarantee of high-speed internet. But they're the FCC is trying to do something tricky involving mobile phones. So if you have mobile service, that would count as high-speed internet. So the problem is they're trying to solve the issue of people in locations that either don't have like ISPs or just have one ISP. So there's literally no competition in their area, mm-hmm. and so they aren't motivated as a company to offer high speed because that costs them more money. So they have these people on dial-up. So the FCC is trying to
literally dial-up, or DS
Well, it could be DSL.
Crap
it could
DSL.
be just a crappy, not whatever, not high speed, and things you have to sort of define what high speed is. But they're also, but yeah. So the FCC in February is going to vote on letting, just if you have cellular coverage, if you have cell service, that counts as high speed internet. I don't know specifically what the speeds are on any of this. I could look it up, I guess.
Well, and LTE, I mean, that is high speed.
LTE
like that's
is pretty fast, but
that's 50 megabit.
But I also feel like if they're in a market where they don't have enough competition to drive having actual high speed internet, I don't know that they're necessarily on LTE. Maybe they're just on 3G in those areas. Plus, if you don't have unlimited data.
Well, the argument would be like for anything, life-threatening, you've got access to. Anyway, yeah, I think there hasn't been nearly enough discussion about whether or not internet access is a public service utility.
Yeah,
they've skirted that whole issue, and the prevailing ISPs have. I don't know how they got the FCC to actually repeal net neutrality because. All right, money.
I don't have actual money to do this with. I could jingle some coins together.
Okay,
they'd really be keys, but we could pretend.
Don't even have coins.
Sorry, I'm just finding that article. Reclassifying cell phone data service as broadband internet. Ah, so it's just a guarantee for broadband, not even high speed.
Yeah, that's garbage.
But now that they feel, now that they've gotten rid of net neutrality, they're on a roll. So they're going to probably push for this. And who knows? Maybe it'll go. Wouldn't be surprised. Davey wouldn't be shocked.
Hopefully we won't follow suit in Canada. We have stated that we're not going to be.
Yeah, the Canadian, I don't know if we said that in... we were talking about this before the show, so I'm not sure when we said it, but the Canadian government... Oh yeah, we did say it in the show. Canadian government did state that they are all for net neutrality and maintaining that.
Good job. Don't screw it up.
Sad Dave.
Speaking of our government screwing things up.
Yes. Oh, hold on. I have a song for this.
We have a song.
Yeah, I just got to find it again because I don't know where anything is here. Oh, here it is. And let me unmute this so I can hear if the song's playing. Boom.
Chaka 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 Khan. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan. Chaka Khan. Let me rock Chaka Khan.
All right. So Justin Trudeau has a friend whose name is Aga Khan, which is
not Shaka?
Not Shaka, but Aga. I feel like he must have a relative named Shaka.
Or a child named Chaka.
Maybe. Well, I mean, a child would be related to him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, some ethical problems for the Trudeau government.
He was bad.
So, okay, so I'm going to tell the story from Justin Trudeau's perspective.
Yeah.
I have a good friend named Aga Khan, and he offered me the gift of staying on his island for a little bit. And I accepted that because he's my friend, and that's what friends do, is they give gifts to each other. I'm done talking now.
Yeah.
So that's, the problem is, he's not telling the whole story there, I don't think. Do you think so? Do you think that's the whole story, Jeremy?
I rarely think Trudeau's telling the whole story. And to be fair, I don't actually understand what part of this was the problem with the ethics. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be blindingly angry when I find out the problem.
Well, the problem is that I believe Aga Khan is either a lobbyist or he holds interests that the government can affect. So he cannot, sort of by definition, give the government presents. Well, I mean, he can offer them, but no one in the government should be accepting presents if they're expected to be making decisions that aren't biased, or at least don't outwardly appear to be biased. This is something that not just like, I work for a large company. I have to do ethics training every year, and they talk about this very specific situation. this is the kind of thing where I would lose my job if I was a decision maker and I accepted something like this, like, hey, use my my cabin for a week. And that's basically what this is, except in this case, the cabin, I believe, is a private island.
And there were helicopters involved.
Yeah. So there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on there.
Right. You're going to use this cabin for a week, and is it in exchange for staying at this cabin, you're also going to grant or be influential in a $15 million grant going to the owner of said cabin.
Right. Now, I mean, obviously, it would never be, I shouldn't say that. It would probably never be presented that way. Like, if you do this, I will let you use,
Y.
yeah. But, it's
Right.
very much like, I've got a grant in the system, or I have an application in the system, and I've got this island, and you like islands, right? And why don't you just stay at my island? Because we're just good friends, right? This is what friends do for each other. This is very, wink, wink, touch the side of your nose sort of thing.
And I mean, absent the whole government situation, you can totally see, like, this, it's just, well, he's my friend, and I'm just gonna do this friendly thing.
Absolutely.
And even when you come to, like, oh, my friend, like, applied for this grant, and I know him, and I know that he's, like, he would be a good choice for this grant. So let's do that. That's actually potentially a good thing, to be picking people who are capable and competent for these grants. If you already know that they're a good candidate for it,
I would argue that what you just described is also an ethical issue. If I'm on a board that approves grants and my friend applies for that grant, I should recuse myself.
I agree.
Or at least say up front, this is my friend, what do you want me to do?
Right.
And that's, at a bare minimum, that's what Trudeau should have done to somebody. Like the ethics commissioner, like, hey, my friend is...
That's just the thing.
He didn't do any of this.
I'm not sure that I necessarily see Trudeau as doing this, like, sneaky, conniving, like, underhanded.
Yeah.
I see this more as Trudeau being totally in over his head in a government position, and just not being in touch with, like, what's proper protocol.
Yeah, like I'll attribute this to a misunderstanding. I won't say that he's in over his head necessarily.
Well, how else do you, like, have a misunderstanding like that? Like, and this is the other thing. In every corporate position that I've ever been in, there's been conflict of interest, like, clearly defined conflict of interest.
Sure.
Documentation.
I mean, we all know he's never worked in a corporate environment.
And that's my point.
Well, so you're saying that unless someone's worked in a corporate environment, that they're going to be in over their head in government, and they shouldn't be in government? That's not what government is.
No, I
like, anyone can run for any
That's right. Anybody
office,
can.
Right?
But there's a reason that typically older, more experienced people with long careers are more successful in government than 19-year-old college students, right? Both, absolutely.
Well,
and I think we actually have both in our government right now.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to dealing with situations, the older, more experienced career senior...
I mean, he's like, what, 38 or 39, right? Like, he's not a kid.
No, but he has no real-life experience in the corporate world.
Sure, but... I mean, having a lot of experience in the corporate... I'm just saying...
My point is, if he had experience in the corporate world...
Right.
This situation would have been way less likely to have occurred. If I'm
yes and no.
If I'm put into a position,
that's assuming that the person is also ethical, right? Because there's lots of the reason why I have to go through annual ethics training is because a lot of people in the corporate world not that ethical,
right? And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that, like, if he would have had experience in the corporate world, he would have had to have gone through some sort of ethics training at some point in time. He would have at least been aware of the possibility of conflict of interest here.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, like, I feel like he should know this. Like, this is, from my perspective,
Sort of common sense?
kind of common sense.
Well, it's because we've had real jobs.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I attribute it to having real job. He was a.
I totally think that's what it is.
He's a substitute teacher. That's a real job. You telling me teachers don't have real jobs? Jeremy, is that what you're stating right now?
No.
For the public record?
For the public record, I'm stating that a substitute teaching position is an entry career. That's not a well-established career. Or it's a retirement position.
Is it?
Yeah.
I
don't know. And I mean, I'm sure that, and I'm going to say that in broad generalization, right? Definitely, there's going to be one-offs, and there's going to be circumstances where that's not the case. But generally, when you have a professional teacher and they're just teaching substitute, like they're just a substitute teacher, they're not a tenured position teacher. Generally, that's either at the very beginning of their career or at the very tail end of their career, right?
Is it?
Yes. Generally.
Generally. Maybe. I don't know.
So,
I know some teachers. I'm going to ask them this weekend who works in substitute positions.
Yeah.
So honestly, I'm curious.
Yeah, and
but I mean,
I
honestly, like, I do agree with you too. Like, if he did work, if he had come from a corporate environment,
if he had, like,
then this would have been more apparent to him. I would also argue, though, that if you're the prime minister, I feel like there should be some sort of ethics training you go through in the government regardless. Like, day one, here's your online ethics course.
Yeah, and I feel like
here's your pamphlet. So now you're a prime minister.
I feel
what to expect.
Yeah, instead of reading that pamphlet, he decided to go snowboarding. Anyway. So... right now, there's a lot of ripping on his apology. I don't know if you've watched it, but there's a lot of...
I didn't actually watch the apology. I don't... despite what I'm doing right now, I'm not a big supporter of Trudeau. I didn't actually vote for the Liberals, so...
Yeah, I hope...
And this, I mean, I was hoping for the best. Like, I didn't
always do.
I didn't have, like, a real problem with the Liberals. I just preferred a different party. And so I voted a different way. I have in the past voted for the Liberals. I don't have anything against Trudeau necessarily. But I don't think he's done anything that I'm real happy about policy-wise. He's done a lot of good things socially in terms of at least bringing awareness to things and setting a good example. And, like, here's how we should treat other people, unlike other world leaders who maybe don't do that. But it would be nice to see actual policy follow that.
Here's how we should treat people. When they offer you an island in a helicopter, you accept it. Yeah. It's just being polite.
Right? Like, maybe that's it. Maybe he's just too polite.
The guy... Man, it's not the way he's coming across.
Yeah,
is my problem. You hope that this was an honest mistake, and you hope that it was an oversight, and he did. But I mean,
that's what he said in his apology. Like, I say I didn't listen to his apology, but I sort of heard a paraphrase of it, right?
Yeah, it's a pretty egregious. Like, how do you not know this?
Yeah, like, you kind of should know this, but I mean, to be fair, sometimes these situations are. It's hard to tell in some situations. I would say this situation, not too hard to tell that you shouldn't be doing this, because, like,
I wouldn't think so.
Like I get he's your friend, and even if he's your friend first, that doesn't really excuse this. You just can't accept large money gifts from people when you're in a position to make a decision
who are applying
about
for $15 million grants
about their future, about things that benefit them.
Yeah, you can't.
Everyone should know this. If you're a kid and you're in social studies right now and you're watching this instead of doing your school, that's kind of weird because it's
Christmas break.
Christmas break, but just behave ethically. Like, that's just do that.
It's not hard.
Start asking your teacher questions about ethics.
You know what's right and what's wrong.
Sorry, this is. On a tangent, because I think that's what this whole show is going to be, is tangent.
Hooray!
Last week, I went to, because I'm getting into analytics, I went to this Lunchalytics thing. It's like a lunch and learn sort of thing.
Right.
So I was at Startup Edmonton. They were talking about retail analytics, and basically it was 3 different speakers talking about how they use analytics in their jobs, basically. So there was, a guy from ATB Financial who did a really interesting talk about how they use math about gravity, like gravity math, like dropping stuff, gravity.
Oh, not like things of importance, gravity.
No, like the law of gravity.
The law of
There's
gravity.
some formula he uses that's about gravity, but he uses this to determine where the best place to build a new location, like a new branch, would be.
That sounds like straight up voodoo math.
It's really cool. Like he couldn't show us the formula because that's sort of their secret sauce. But he sort of gave it like a high level overview of how it works, and it was really neat. Like that was really cool. And then the second guy was from Go Auto, and his talk was not like, it was a good talk, but not kind of as like out there as this guy's.
Yeah.
Well, this guy had, I think the first guy had a PhD in physics, and now he's working as a data scientist.
For ATB?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a really weird thing. So like I'm trying to get in, like I want to sort of be a data scientist, but if you like look at like who data scientists,
wrong. You actually?
No, I'm not.
I want to be.
No, I want to be a data scientist.
Oh, I thought. I
did this on the data scientist part.
Oh, sorry.
Because I would never. I don't think I'll ever call myself that because like so many people are like they have PhDs in something. They're all doctors.
Important math.
Yeah, like math or physics or whatever, right? And it's just, I gotta go be a data scientist now. And it's just like, ah. At any rate, so the next guy talks, and he's from Go Auto. His was basically about how they sort of track their ad campaigns, like the tricks they use for that, and they were able to.
Did he actually use the word tricks?
No, but it was basically.
We knew what he was talking about.
And we knew it was tricks.
All right.
But but basically, so they have the thing where you text a number, you text a word to a number, and then you could win $20,000, like to pay off your car loan. But you don't have to buy anything from them.
So they have the thing. Sorry.
Oh, you just have to text, right?
Yeah.
But the trick, and this isn't really a trick if you think about it for 5 seconds, is that each different place you would hear this or see this advertisement is a different word that you text in, so they know where you saw the ad or where you heard the ad.
Yeah.
But they can also take that information and say, okay, so they texted us on this date, and so they can see like up to 2 years later people are still buying cars from them, right? So like like if they got texted in like May of 2014, if you look at like May of 2016, they're still getting some stragglers. Now, obviously, it goes like this, percentage-wise. Like the first month, you have a lot of people buy a car and it goes down.
Yeah.
But they were surprised to see that even 2 years later, like the people that texted them 2 years ago were still coming in and buying cars from them. Now, that being said, I don't know if there's actually any real causality there. In terms of, I heard this ad 2 years ago and now I'm buying a car from these guys, or if it's just sort of coincidence or what.
I would think it's more coincidence than.
But I don't know. I don't know what kind of science goes on behind the scenes there. But the cool thing he talked about, that actually really wasn't about analytics it is, but not in the sense that we were sort of discussing, was if you go to a store, it is possible that your movements are being tracked around the store from your cell phone in your pocket. So there are Cisco sells a Wi-Fi entry point.
Yep.
That will just out of the box track people's movements through a space. So you can see where people are walking in a store and where they're stopping. So you can create heat maps of your stores to figure out where you want to put stuff.
That's
Yeah, the guy's like, he's like, the only reason we don't use this is because we work in, he's like, we're in car sales. If we want to know something about somebody, we literally just ask them because it's face to face.
Yeah.
But for like a place where like maybe a grocery store or something like that, they could, if they have the right hardware, they could just be tracking this and it's being automatically recorded in a database that these guys can access. And if you like log into the Wi-Fi, now they know your name. And they can make that connection with other things on the internet.
Yeah. Sort of similar to that bent. Walmart mines every receipt. So if you've got a receipt and you have from Walmart, milk, engine oil, and a chocolate bar,
Yeah.
It knows that you were in those 3 places in the store.
Right.
So then it compiles all of the data from all of the sets based on the receipts that they to create those. But this is now the next new way to do this.
They can also you can just buy like standalone things that ping your Bluetooth. Do you see where you are?
Really?
Yeah. Now I don't really know if you have to connect. Like obviously it would see that something exists, so you probably don't even have to connect to it. But there are devices that also ping with Bluetooth. So the reason I mentioned this is because we were talking about
we're going to get out of this rabbit trail.
Yeah, sorry, we were talking about ethics. And so the third speaker was...
That's what happens when we drink bourbon.
Yes, the third speaker was a professor from somewhere. He was... I'll say it, because I don't think he's ever going to see this. He was not a very good speaker. And, well, his talk was a little weird. So the other guys were talking about stuff that they did. And then this guy was basically asking the group questions. Like he was sort of teaching a class, sort of doing a marketing exercise. Because he had a website, so he showed us this website. And he's like, what do you think we could do better? Like, it was that sort of thing. And then once he moved on from the website, I was like, oh, good. We're done here. He mentioned that him and someone else were writing a book, and here's all the chapters in the book. And what chapters do you think are interesting? And there's 24 chapters. And I'm just like, oh, I gotta go. Like, I have to go back to work, right? I was hoping this would get better. But someone in the audience asked the question, I didn't see a chapter on ethics. Was there a chapter you guys talk about ethics at all? And I was like, oh, that's actually a really interesting question. That's a good question, because if you don't know this, it's really easy. So statisticians and people who use numbers a lot will tell you that, there's, the science doesn't lie, there's no bias in it. You can't politicize a number, which, as we all know, is totally not true. But you can absolutely introduce bias, and especially like racial bias or gendered bias, that sort of thing. So you need to be aware of these biases when you're, doing actual data science and setting up your experiments and stuff like that. And so the guy he did say, that was, we do sort of address it a little bit in a couple of these chapters, but we don't have one explicitly for ethics. And I was behind this guy who, he was like really interested. He got really vocal during the part about being able to track people around stores.
Right.
He was like asking the guy, for like specific pieces of software, and like, because he was really, this is the greatest thing in the world to him, right?
Okay.
And he's an older fella, older, we'll say Caucasian guy, because he was. And anyways, he was almost offended by the question that, that we needed to even think about ethics. And right, because so the person who asked the question, I would say, I'd say she's in university, probably a grad student, maybe something like that. This guy is like pushing 60. He's probably been a lifelong sales guy. I feel like he was, death of a salesman sort of.
Can't be bothered with ethics. Ethics are just going to get in our way and slow us down.
Yeah. ABC, always be closing. First place, a Cadillac. Second place, steak knives. Third place, you're fired.
And those are the people who have never understood where the data science rabbit trail can go and the bad places that it can go.
Yeah, but so like a lot of the people who were at the talk were grad students who were interested in data science and analytics as a career, and they were probably mostly statisticians. And then the other sort of group of people were, so probably retailers, salespeople, or people like me who were just sort of like trying to get into it and learning about stuff, and sort of interesting. And but anyway, so she was like asking about the ethics, and then this guy was like, "Oh, we don't need to talk about ethics," and she's like, "Well, I think it's really important because we should be holding people ethically accountable." And then the guy was like, and then he was like, "Oh, things just don't evolve that way. They just don't evolve," and it was like devolving into a shouting match, like right in front of me, and I'm just like trying to mentally send messages to the guy talking, first of all, like, get this under control. the guy in front of me just to stop yelling, and the girl over there just everyone
Disengage.
shut up. This is all not going.
Abandon it.
This is all going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So ethics are important, but people,
Are stupid.
are uninformed about ethics.
Yeah, what'd I say?
Stupid. Maybe basically the same thing. I don't know if they're like purposefully uninformed or not.
Willfully ignorant. That's the word. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we still talking about net neutrality?
No.
So, if there's anybody out there watching either on Facebook Live now or later on YouTube and you have any interest in producing, we're in desperate need of a producer.
Yeah.
Because...
I can't talk and produce and drink at the same time.
And if we're going to drop one, it's going to be producing, so...
This is really tasty bourbon.
On to the next topic. Okay, that was Trudeau and Shaka Khan. So this being our Christmas special, in the Christmas time of year.
I get to drunk type.
Yeah. Christmas special and the war on Christmas. What do we think about it?
Oops. I had misspelled Christmas briefly. We're okay.
Briefly.
I will say that so every year we always hear about the war on Christmas. It feels like forever. At least the last, I'll say 6 to 8 years, something like that. I've always...
Has it been that? Yeah, okay. Yep.
About that. I would say, actually, maybe even longer. I'd
Did
say
it
8 years. I'd say probably about the time Obama got in office is about the time...
People started...
Yeah, like once the Americans had a leader who is trying to be inclusive,
Yeah.
that became a threat on real Christians, I guess.
Right.
And it became a war on Christmas if you said Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas, I guess. That's a British thing. Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas?
Yeah.
Hang on, sorry. It was bad if you said Happy or Merry Christmas, or it was bad if you said Happy Holidays?
It was bad if you didn't say Christmas. If you went out of your way to say holidays or something else that wasn't Christmas.
Okay, whatever.
So that was the war on Christmas, and it gets a little bit weirder all the time.
Well, Starbucks got rid of the red cups.
Right. Well, Starbucks. I thought the problem was they had red cups one year, and then the problem this year was that there was a picture of hands of gender neutral hands holding.
Like, how do you draw gender specific hands?
I don't know. Well, it wasn't that they were gender. Like, no one was like, "Oh, these are gender neutral." It was just like it was not necessarily a guy and not necessarily a woman. I'd have to look at the picture, but I honestly don't look that close at my Starbucks cups, as I just drink coffee out of them and then I throw them away. Like that is, oh, you probably have it.
Hang on.
Yeah, that's the Christmas cup.
I'm like, I feel like that. So
do you have anyone holding hands on there?
No, maybe but I feel like this here that really feels like a woman's hand.
Yeah, that's fair.
That
I feel like that's probably just her other hand.
She's
going like this.
She forgot to paint her nails on one hand. And
I guess it could be two different people.
I don't know.
Different. Yeah.
Here's hand holding.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. So is that?
That's Waldo.
Is this male female, male or female or other?
Like, who knows? Who bloody cares?
Well, like people who think there's a war on Christmas take this as a clear sign.
Okay, I'm really hoping that
I'll find an image of it to put it on the screen.
The people that are getting upset about that are very few and far between. I'm really, really hoping, because I feel like, wow, you really have to be bent on a fight to go on that.
But I will say this: I feel like I'm hearing less about it this year than I've heard in years past.
Yeah, well, we've got Trump to tweet out more entertaining things.
That is a true thing that didn't really occur to me. But that's probably it.
I'm like, honestly, because you're right. I don't think I've heard that much about it.
I heard about the hand holding thing, but I
missed that. I didn't.
Here we go. Oh, this is a great picture. We'll use this one. I hope it's big enough. I'll steal it from BuzzFeed.
What? That's the cup that we just looked at.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a better, high resolution photo of it. Maybe this one. Nope.
Well,
I gotta stop using. Hold on, I just gotta stop using Starbase for a second here. It's missing some image search tools that Google gives me. Starbucks. Oh.
So the war on Christmas. Is
it a real thing? Who's at war with who? Is my question.
Well,
do you think this is a culture war? Part of a culture war?
I think there's something there. I think people have gotten up in arms in a silly way over something that doesn't need to be a silly thing.
Okay, this is a big one.
And I think we would categorize it as the Christians on one side, or
I gotta make sure I actually hit this thing right. Oh, this is gonna take forever. Okay, go ahead.
No, this is speeding up.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so sorry. Let's quick go back to the cup here.
Can you see my
There's
mouse?
nothing wrong with the cup.
No. So the little hand holding thing above the Starbucks lady's head is what people are thinking might be gay. Because neither of those hands is explicitly male or explicitly female. And honestly, you can't tell unless you can see the palms, right?
Well, honestly,
I like that you took the time to look.
I don't understand. See, this is where, people are going crazy.
Yes.
On top of which, it's, hand holding.
That's how it starts, Jeremy.
No, it isn't.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it is. Have you ever been in love?
Really? That's true. But all through the Middle East, men walk around holding hands in countries where you get stoned for being gay.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not getting stoned for holding hands. But clearly the Starbucks cup is advocating homosexuality.
That seems very reasonable to me.
Okay.
Oh God.
I can't even.
Yeah, no, it's beyond dumb. I always say every year I hear about the war on Christmas. How you can't say, and then
the cup is beyond dumb.
No, the cup is particularly stupid.
Well, you get it under control here right away.
Yeah,
right?
I'm working on it.
There you go.
I don't know.
Now, the war on Christmas, I think, is only an apt title in one of two situations. On the extreme two sides,
Right.
where on the Christian side they say
crazy again. Sorry.
all like the Starbucks cup is a good example of Christians going crazy and being just silly. And also demanding that you say Merry Christmas and that Happy Holidays is offensive to them. I'm like, it's absolutely not offensive. It's a holiday period of time. The person saying Happy Holidays probably isn't celebrating Christmas at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So who cares if they're like, I'm celebrating Christmas at this point in time. So the other side of the coin then is someone getting offended by me saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
If you're not, no problem. I'm not saying that you have to.
Do you think, I don't know, like I don't know that I've ever really heard anybody like legitimately be angry about hearing either of those terms.
I hope not, but that's
Like,
that's what
I know, like you see like news pundits who are like, oh, I can't believe that they aren't saying
Well, they're
Merry
all dumb.
Christmas. Yeah, I mean, it's their job to be dumb.
it's
It really is their job to be stupid.
man.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I see so many Facebook posts where it's like, I'm going to say, you can't stop me from saying Merry Christmas. Who's with me? And I'm just like, I can't imagine anyone caring.
That's
really
just
can't.
it. It's not about. It shouldn't be about amassing a group to all do the same as you.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you need to do. Do what's right for you.
I just didn't even understand what they're angry about. Like, are you angry because I can't tell by looking at you if you celebrate Christmas or not? So I hedge my bet and I say Happy Holidays? Or, I mean, alternatively, like, you know, maybe you don't celebrate Christmas, but I say Merry Christmas. How is that offensive? Like,
and that's my point, right?
Yeah.
Like, if
I don't think either sentence, either phrase is offensive in any direction. And I don't understand why this gets talked about every year, despite the fact we're currently talking about it.
Yeah.
But we aren't like, oh, there's a war on Christmas.
We need to join it.
Yeah.
We're not recruiting for the war on Christmas.
This is the dumbest thing.
This is the dumbest war there has ever been, you know.
The good news is, if you take a look at a lot of wars, like the war on drugs, if it's anything like that, Christmas will never go away. It'll just get more and more popular.
Speaking of the war on drugs, Trudeau said July 1st won't be.
I know. Pick a day. Pick a day.
It's going to be in the summer, but it won't be July 1st. So
maybe not.
We've nailed down. I don't know where you got that date from. We've nailed down one day that it won't be. How many days are in summer?
I don't know, like half a year.
90? Not half, a quarter of a year.
Well, I think it's a half.
Not in Canada, it's not.
I think technically it's a half.
In Canada, one day it's not. That means it's got to be the other.
So July 2nd then.
July 2nd, marijuana will be legal in Canada. That'll be a glorious day, and everybody's going to lose their brain over no good reason there, too. Anyway, yeah, War on Christmas. I don't understand how two sentiments, each wishing goodwill towards the other, the person to whom it is issued, could be offensive.
Well, it's a culture war, man.
Wishing you a happy holidays.
It's cultural genocide. I mean that's yeah. I know it's not, but that's I think that's where this comes from.
If
right?
your culture can be downtrodden by me saying
genocided, Jeremy.
If it can be destroyed by me uttering a phrase or not uttering a phrase.
Mm-hmm. If you get it wrong, man, that is cultural genocide.
You need a better culture. you need to. I can't even. I've devolved to a teenage girl. I can't even.
What's better than the white culture, Jeremy?
No.
I believe that's the argument they're trying to pick. Because whites only celebrate Christmas, I believe.
That's only whites celebrate Christmas, you mean?
No, whites only celebrate Christmas.
No, that's not true. There are so many white Jews.
I know it's not true,
no,
Jeremy. I'm trying to figure out what the attack is. Like, how is it cultural genocide? If I look at someone who celebrates Christmas,
right,
and I wish them something other than
Merry Christmas.
Or I look at someone who
celebrates Christmas.
No, doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Doesn't celebrate, right. Doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Right. And I do wish them Merry Christmas. Like, I don't understand how this is attacking either culture, right? So, from their standpoint, from the standpoint of someone who believes that it is cultural genocide to not wish someone who celebrates Christmas Merry Christmas, they think that someone looking at them, I'll just say it's me in this because I'm going to get confused otherwise. Let's pretend for a moment that I think that wishing me happy holidays is cultural genocide.
Because you celebrate Christmas.
Because I celebrate Christmas.
Gotcha.
Now
I say happy holidays.
Right. And I go, oh, how dare you? You're genociding my culture. Grr. And then I say in my head, you know what? I'm just going to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas. And now I don't see that as an attack on your culture, right? Like, that's not culturally, I'm not genociding your culture that doesn't necessarily celebrate Christmas.
Right.
I kind of wish they would do that, though. It's like, I hope, okay, if any, like, I know nobody's watching this who would care. But if ever I go up to you and I wish you happy holidays and you think I'm committing cultural genocide, I want you to look at me and go, you know what? Merry Christmas to you!
Which is what's apparently happening with the crotchety old ladies out there who are thinking this.
I would die laughing. I would just die. I would just die laughing. It's the greatest thing.
Have a nice day. No, you have a nice day.
All right.
Okay. So, for everybody out there who thinks that there's a war on Christmas, or thinks that there isn't a war on Christmas, or thinks that there's a war on the holidays, next year you'll be in grade 3 and everything will be better. So, we've got no words up right now.
I know. I took the words down because I thought we were moving on. And then we didn't. And I didn't put the words back. I'm waiting to figure out what words I need to type now.
What words now? We're going to, so as we've come to this Christmas holiday season, see what I did there?
Not yet.
I included both.
Oh, yes.
Christmas and holidays.
No, Merry Christmas to you, sir.
And holidays. And
no, Christmas.
Yes, the Christmas holiday season. Governments the world over are going bonkers. We thought about we would define what we think government should be. F-I-N.
It'll get there. Oh, yeah, it'll get there.
There it comes. So, musings on government and where we think the global governments are getting it wrong and right. And
yeah, so I just sort of wanted to pose the question, because we're getting close to the end of the year and this is our 11th episode and we've never really talked about it. What do we think, if it was up to us, what should governments do? Like, what should a government job? If we didn't have a system of government and you were tasked with saying this is what I think a government should do,
we're going to buy an island,
yes,
create a new government on this island.
Sure. Yes. So we are now a simple people. And
we've always been a simple people.
Well, we're a simpler people. We wear more grass and less man-made fiber. We fish all day to feed ourselves.
And grow chickens.
Sometimes we have a surplus of fish. Sometimes we have a surplus of eggs. And there's enough of us now where we maybe we should organize and sort of, because we've got people,
figure out, people want to come join us and join the party. And,
yeah.
And what are we going to put together for a society and how would it work?
Sure. I would die if I had to fish, by the way.
To me, fishing is just drinking in a boat.
Well, I'm just saying
I don't catch a lot of fish.
Well, I do catch. I don't catch a lot of fish. I fish okay. I hate cleaning fish, and I haven't fished in 20 years.
I don't understand how fish aren't already clean. They're like in this huge bathtub of a
You'd
pond.
think so, but have you touched a fish? They are gross.
True story. All right. Yeah. So I guess the beginning of this comes from what part of the society should the government be involved in?
I guess
services that they should provide, and so there should be. Well, okay. Let me ask you this: should government set up and maintain a military, some sort of a protective force from outside?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things.
I mean, on our island, we'd have to.
It depends on do we have any invaders.
We have to find out how many people can throw spears real well.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. But so that comes so that really the broader question then is it government's responsibility to ensure to be able to defend their people from an outside force?
Right.
So this is sort of like maybe a safety issue.
Yeah, and on the onset, I feel like, yes, the government should have some sort of a military maintain.
I agree with that.
So then the populace in that the government govern over should pay taxes to maintain and run the military.
Somebody has to pay the people who are there to defend them.
Right.
And if their employer is the government, then the government needs money to pay them.
So
we have to give some taxes.
We have to tax to and that sets up the basic structure of how the government's working to begin with too. And I'm sorry if there are any political scientists watching later, because there certainly aren't now.
You're gonna hate us.
Boy,
or me
let us
anyway.
know how we get this wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
approaching this from a kindergartner's level.
Oh, come on. We've got at least grade 2.
Yeah.
So the government has to have an agreement with the people that say, okay, you guys need to support these services. One is military or some sort of a protective force for us. In a reasonably sized government of various levels. There should be like internal policing.
So we need checks and balances?
Sorry, I meant like police force.
Oh, like an actual
police force to keep the citizenry in line.
I'm wondering if we need that.
People are too douchebaggy not to have it.
All right. So we need the government to also make the rules then.
Right. So
what kind of rules? Like, just out of, like, as an example. Like, obviously we can't sit here and list all the laws of the land. But.
Right, so, I mean, like, I feel like you can basically get away... You can start with the basic ones, like, you get to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't impose on other people doing what they want.
Okay.
Type thing, right? So that's the pursuit of...
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's sort of how I always look at it. Like, I kind of... My approach has always been... not to lawmaking, but just to life in general. I kind of don't care what you're doing as long as it doesn't hurt me or anybody else.
Right, you can't.
And I don't just mean physically, but like could be financially or whatever, mentally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you start to.
But this sort of runs into like the whole maybe the problem with the legal system nowadays is it's all very technical, loopholey, right? So you can't just pass sort of a vague law because there's too many people who are pedants out there who are going to be like, well, it doesn't say I can't do this.
This hurt, and you're going to have.
How do you define hurt? And,
yeah. This hurt me because it hurt my feelings. Oh, there you go. Feelings don't count.
Really?
I feel like you got to start there.
What about racial slurs? Those hurt feelings. Like, should those be... I mean, this is sort of like a free speech thing, I guess. But you know what I mean,
that's
right?
And that's a tricky slope, right? Like, where is...
Like, if you're being purposefully offensive, and I can somehow show that you're being purposely offensive, and for me, that's the distinction. Like, you're like, feelings don't count. I'm like, feelings count, but only if someone's like purposely trying to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, but how do you... I guess, demonstrating intent becomes...
It's difficult. I'm not saying that's an easy, straightforward thing, but for me, that's sort of the thing. Like, people say things by accident all the time, and I think if you get corrected, but you don't learn from that correction and you just continue making that same mistake, then that shows, at least from my perspective, either intent or an unwillingness to change, which is same difference.
But there's still occasions where you're just being silly.
Mm-hmm.
The war on Christmas is a perfect example.
True.
Right? If I say, it offends me when you say happy holidays, and then you continue to say happy holidays because you're not celebrating Christmas, that makes sense. And my feelings are stupid in that scenario.
Right. This is tricky. This is trickier than I thought this was going to be.
Yeah, I like erring on the feelings don't count part.
Yeah, like a big part of me really does agree with you.
Yeah.
But I've also seen people, have to suffer verbal abuse from people, and it's it's just as painful as you know, if not more so,
Sure.
because it lasts longer. Like people always say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Names hurt for way
Yeah, no,
longer than sticks and stones do generally.
That can damage self-esteem
Yeah.
pretty badly. It's figuring out when your self-esteem needs to be beat up a little bit because you're being stupid.
Yeah. Jeez.
This is way above our ability.
Yeah. We're too dumb for this. We bit off more than we can chew.
Whoops.
That won't stop us. We'll power through.
We'll choke it down.
Okay, so let's, for the sake of argument, just because I generally agree with you, because I'm, you know, like I've seen. I don't want to say the result. I've never been the target, but I know I've been very close to people who have been the target of slurs and hate speech.
Yeah.
And I know it sucks. Absolutely, it does. But in this particular case, I'm willing to take the side of free speech, and I've sort of made this clear before, like why I believe that free speech is important on social platforms, like Twitter or whatever, just so we can see who the bad people are, and maybe that's good enough. Just being able to identify who jerks are, so that people can avoid them.
Yeah, and even you know, even if they're being intentionally
If you
hurtful,
can, I mean, it's
having the difference is if that can be out in the open, and not if you don't punish the people that are being deliberately hurtful, but you instead support the people that are being targeted.
Yeah.
I think you can. I hope. Maybe I'm wrong, but my hope would be you can support these people to minimize the damage done, support them, help them not be hurt by the stupid person being dumb.
That's actually a really good. I think that's a really good idea, because I think a lot of people who either suffer from abuse, well, you know, like speaking, you know, in terms of verbal abuse, even I guess physical abuse, like sexual abuse, like the reason a lot of people, you know, people often feel alone in those situations, you know, like no one's there for them, and that leads down a dark path for a lot of people. So I think, yeah, as long as we can, if we have a society that is supportive of people,
yeah. So focus.
but that's I mean, that's how do you do that? Though,
So
right?
you focus on not stopping behavior, but supporting victims of the behavior.
Right. So we encourage behavior that we like,
Yes.
as opposed to trying to discourage behavior that we don't like.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
Okay.
That's definitely a better way to say it. Because we don't want to just automatically, we don't want to wait for the bad things to happen and then fix the damage of those bad things happening. We want to encourage good behaviors. We want to encourage supportive behaviors. Don't focus on stopping people from doing stuff. Focus on encouraging people to do good things.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's not bad.
Mm.
That's not the worst idea we've had on this show. I don't think. Maybe
It can't be. No, we've had way
It
worse
might be.
ideas than that. So the big question that the states have faced
Mhm.
and have not made up their minds on is medical care the responsibility of the government?
Right. So I'm going to take a broad stab at a governmental definition here, and you'll sort of see where I fall here.
Okay.
I think that the ultimate goal of the government should be to try its best to have a populace that is healthy and prosperous. Basically, the way I look at it is no one should be homeless. This should be the goal, I think, right? No one should be homeless, starving, or unable to get medical help if they need it. I believe that health care should be a right. Like, if you're dying from something, you should have the right to go somewhere
And yeah,
and not
not
die.
Have medical professionals. Yeah. So the balance here, as far as I understand it, is government responsible health care lowers the quality of medical innovation. So if you have completely privatized medicine, you have very high-paid doctors, high-paid researchers, really amazing medical breakthroughs and innovation, but you don't have the broad populace automatically taken care of. Conversely, if you have just government, you basically become a government doctor. So you almost work for the government then at that point, which in Canada almost pretty much is the case.
Yep.
You become a doctor, you work for the government, but then that doesn't lead people to, or doesn't reward people to become really innovatively thinking medical professionals.
So I'm going to ask a question you can't answer. Well, maybe you can. I don't know.
3.
Why? Why does it? So
why does that balance seem to occur?
If I'm a public doctor, doesn't it behoove me to? Now, okay, I've sort of answered the question in my head. I don't think reward's the issue. I think time's the issue. I think that someone who wants to be, I think someone who wants to be a doctor wants to be able to do the best job that they can to help people. I believe that in my heart of hearts.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that someone who is working 40 hours a week, helping people, healing people, being a doctor, does not have spare time to research new techniques necessarily, unless we have like no standards for experimentation, and it's like, hey, you're a patient of mine, take this pill.
So that being the case, I mean, it doesn't seem like a hard problem to solve. My immediate thought on that would be one of 2 solutions. Either one, define, you're a care doctor, 40 hours a week, taking care of patients.
Yeah.
And define a separate role of a research doctor.
Yeah.
You 40 hours a week figuring out new, better ways to do things. Or you define hybrids, a hybrid role, right? You're a doctor. That means 30 hours a week, or 3/4 of your time you're taking care of people, and 1/4 of the time you're figuring out how to do things better, or working with researchers, or
I mean, basically that's how it sort of was like in the 1800s, right? Where doctors would just be like, I have an idea, and then they would
experiment on,
they would jam a pin in someone's brain and be like, well, that didn't solve the problem, let's try leeches.
Lobotomy doesn't work, how about leeches?
Maybe they went the other way with that, I don't know, I wasn't there.
Leeches didn't work.
I feel like I would have been an okay Victorian era doctor, like just right now.
I feel like I would have been Victorian era, like super surgeon.
Well, I mean, I don't think there was a very high expectation of people surviving surgeries back then. So
So I
mean, you got one right. You're doing okay.
So. Yeah, I feel like I agree that the government should make sure that the people aren't dying.
Right. Yeah, like I mean, if you had like government researchers, and like I don't think this is a private public thing. Like I said, I think it's just a time thing. Right? You're going to get people I think who want to just like I want to be a doctor and all I want to do is help people. Like in a very direct manner, face to face. And then you're going to get people who are like, I want to be, I'm getting into medicine because I want to find a cure for cancer. And they just want to be a research person for the most part. And then you're going to find people who sort of want to do both.
That's a good point.
because I know there was a time in my life where I sort of toyed with the idea of getting into medicine, and I would have been a researcher for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's...
Yeah, like, not that I don't like people, but it's just, I had my own reasons for getting into it. My reasons would have been research-based.
Right. Is it possible to keep the money out? Or keep the money down?
Well, yes and no, right?
I guess the point of the question is, how many people are out there who actually get the most reward out of the work, not from the money that they get, but from the research
from
progress
the job that they're doing.
From the job that they're doing.
That's kind of an existential question, right? Because in existentialism, you are what you do, right? So people want to be something, they just do it, and that is how they exist. But
if people want to be rich...
Yeah, from a money perspective, I think the way to start is the way you sort of take this back to data. But we look at a little bit sports betting and how sports bettors work. And I sort of explained this last week a little bit, where if something is 50-50, sports books need to make a profit, right? So they'll set stuff in the way American odds work. It would be -110, -110 on either side, whichever side of the bet you took. And then as one side got more bets, they would incentivize the other side to balance. And so they would change the odds in order to make people bet the other side, right? So, if let's say it's a fight and fighter A, they're both at 110 or -110, and fighter A starts, everyone's betting for fighter A. Well, the sports book needs people to bet for fighter B, so they make the odds better. So they'll be like, plus 350, right? And so then everyone starts betting on this guy until it balances out. And it's just sort of a natural thing. So I think the answer kind of here is you have to sort of balance things out. You started even, and, day one we started even. If everyone's going into research or, day-to-day healing,
I like that.
Then you sort of need to, okay, let's incentivize people to go the other way maybe. And you sort of have to keep doing that just to keep it in balance.
Keep a market demand on an efficiently run government. And that's the point. That's the trick right there, is keeping an efficiently run government. Because I feel like where we are in this day and age is we've gone, a couple hundred years, and by the end of a couple hundred years, we've distilled out all the competency.
Mm-hmm.
And all we've got left is the corrupt money.
Sure.
Time to start.
I mean, I don't know, right? I'm just saying.
It's an uninformed, ornery opinion.
Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
I believe there are people who get into government with wide eyes, who are just who are there because they want to make a difference and make a positive difference on the country or whatever it is that they're representing. And then, sort of, I guess the reality sort of kicks them in the teeth, right? Where it's like, well...
They come into the real world, and that's not how things actually work. I feel like, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's what happened to President Obama.
Yeah. I mean, that happens, I think, to everybody probably their first couple of years in office.
And I feel like President Trump is actually, going to become a better person over the next couple of years, by virtue of the fact of the system kicking him in the teeth and going, hey, that's not how this works.
You see, I figured he'd become a better person because I don't think he can become a worse person.
Well, that's kind of what
he can only go one direction.
I don't know.
I guess he could stagnate and just not change at
No.
all. That's also an option for him. He could...
Rigor mortis does that to a person.
He could literally bring out the end of the world. The whole Jerusalem thing?
He's not going to. We never talked about the Jerusalem thing.
No, but if he was going to bring around the end of the world, he's trying real hard right now.
That's not going to do it.
Oh, yeah, because the Middle East, they never have fights about stuff. That's not going to start a war over anything.
It's not going to start a new fight. It's a fight
It'll
that's been
start
going
a
on. Bigger
fight.
I would argue that fight is one that was sort of simmering under, and it's now just brought to the forefront, and it can finally just get settled.
Oh yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
Sarcasm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, little tangent here on the Jerusalem thing.
Sure.
Good or bad thing?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I literally don't know what the right answer is here.
Okay,
at
fair
all. Apparently, it sounds like Trump's stance might be the wrong stance. Which, I mean, just historically, his stance is usually the wrong stance. Like that's like that's a safe bet for me.
See, and this is where I thought that he like broke from his pattern, and like actually took a right stance.
Like so, I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, and
this is one of those things where I'm just like, I don't need to know. I don't need to have an opinion about this. I don't.
Fair enough. Of course, all the Democrats like immediately were like, "What is he doing? This is horrible. This is awful." But
politically, it's maybe not a great idea.
I don't think it's that bad. But I don't know.
He got vetoed. Like the UN vetoed him 14-1 on that.
They what?
So he was like, Jerusalem's the capital of Israel, and then whoever at the UN, some group, there's 15 of them, voted on, do we agree with this? 14 of them said, no, this is terrible. I don't know the details. This is not the kind. This is one of those things where I just kind of don't read about it. I'm on a bit of a. Not reading about Trump thing, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right. U.S. outnumbered 14-1 as it vetoes UN vote on status of Jerusalem.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't honestly. I didn't know what the vote was on. I just thought it was like, do we agree with the states? And I was like, that couldn't possibly be what it was. I guess it kind of was.
Well, everybody's disagreeing with the states right now because nobody likes Trump.
Well, and so here's the thing. So I don't know if you've heard the other half of this or the second part of this, is that Trump has told Haley, who is the representative in the UN, to tell him, or to tell the UN, told Haley to tell the UN, if you go against me on this, I'm going to take away all the money that we give you.
Oh, man.
So.
Okay, so. I'm taking my ball and going home.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I guess if you got this weight, sometimes you swing it around, and that's how Donald Trump is, right?
It's totally the way he is, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got this like big hammer, and he knows he can like hit people with it, and I feel like at some point someone's going to take his hammer away, but so
perhaps
on the one hand, okay, you know that every other U.S. president since I don't know George Washington has said that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and needs to stay undivided.
I honestly did not know that. I don't know. I literally, I know so little about the Middle East.
Okay, so this is the history of this decision is, and this is what the Republicans have been like. They've been like marching out, rah, rah, rah. Like Trump has finally done what every other president since George W. Bush.
So Obama.
I can't remember.
That's 2 presidents ago.
Clinton.
You mean Herbert Walker? Bush Sr.?
Could be.
Reagan.
A whole bunch of presidents have all in their campaigns said Jerusalem is the capital and it's not supposed to be divided. It needs to stay undivided, including Obama. Said we're going to do this, right? I'm going to, as soon as I'm in office, I'm going to declare Jerusalem the capital, and I'm going to move our embassy there. And Trump is the first one to have actually finally done it. Now,
I mean, good for him.
So he's just, I mean, every other president has waived this, saying, oh, there's this conflict, and if we did this, it would disrupt the peace process that's currently, we're almost there. We're almost to a point where we can finally have peace in that region. Right. And Trump just finally called bullshit on it and said, we're no closer now than we were 10 years ago.
That's true.
We're let's just do this.
Or I think that's true at any rate. Yes.
It's totally true. It's
Hey, Ariana, if you're still watching, I don't know why I'm looking over here. Hey, Ariana, if you're still watching, ask Gavin about this. My brother-in-law's in town, and he's like big into politics.
I'd love to know, more information about this.
He definitely knows more about this than I do. So I'd love to know his thoughts.
Yeah, and I only know a little bit about it. Now Trump's timing is like, right? So is this the right time? Who knows? Is it the wrong time?
Yeah. Like
is it any worse timing than any other time that we've had up till now?
I don't know that I'm against
I don't think
this.
so.
Like I don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have an opinion on this, so I don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like I just say, I have a sort of a knee-jerk reaction where if Trump says something is good, I just assume
it can't
that
be
it's bad, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe he's right. Like I mean, as I do know, the one thing I do know is that nothing's really changed in my lifetime, as far as I know. Right, where this is concerned. So I mean, everyone's like, don't kick a hornet's nest. I get that, right? This could cause huge problems. But I mean, what if he's right?
I figured, and to see at this point, I figured we've been trying this one path for.
Like, what's the CBA on this, right? Like, I mean, if he's right, he goes down as,
the one who finally
the greatest deal maker in history, which is what he wants on his tombstone, right? And then if he's, like, what if he's wrong? Like, what's the worst?
Well,
what's the worst case scenario?
And
here?
that's where I feel like the over under on like how this is going to play out.
Mm-hmm.
The worst case, things continue on being conflicting in Israel, right?
You just think worst case is we carry on as normal?
Yeah.
You don't think there's going to be like a big war?
How?
I don't know. They start taking it seriously.
Who?
The Middle East.
Which player in the Middle East?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How about the 14 people who voted against Trump? What if they decide?
That's not the Middle East. That's the rest of.
No, I know they're not in the Middle East, but I'm just saying, like.
That's my point. Is that they're the rest of Europe that just wants to try to like.
Maybe this is a world war.
No, there's no way.
Did Germany ever get vetoed 14-1 in something in the late 30s?
League of Nations. Quick, look up League of Nations. Why did that fail? I feel like my gut assumption, and it's an assumption, so I could be totally wrong on this, is that the UN is like, oh, Trump's doing that? Pfft, no, we're not hitching our wagon to Trump because he's a
fair.
buffoon.
I wouldn't either.
Right?
Right.
Like, I heard somewhere that there's some talks going on in Paris, and they didn't even bother to invite the U.S. And it's like climate talks.
Wow, because, you know what he's going to say, right?
Yeah. But they didn't even bother, like, we know you pulled out of the Paris Accord, but if you want to come, like, we're having these talks.
And I kind of like this. I don't know. Like, I'm sort of two minds about this. Like, part of me takes real joy in the fact that the rest of the world excludes the states from stuff like this.
Right.
Because, they're like, Trump's a doofus. He's not going to take this seriously the same way we take it. So screw him. You want to walk around pretending like you're the only thing that matters on this planet?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to prove you wrong.
Right.
The problem I have with this is that Trump just needs reasons to close borders on people. Like he's a nationalist. He's not a he kind of is a globalist, but he pretends to be a nationalist, right? So he's kind of okay with this. I think politically, he's like, they don't want us, we don't want them. Screw it, shut the borders.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's part of this tax bill that just passed through Senate today. Senate, Congress, tax bill that just got once again affirmative.
Sure.
Also, allows for oil drilling in Alaska.
Oh yeah, yeah. He wants to drill everywhere.
Well, and those reserves, well, and I feel kind of like it might have been every other administration's sort of like, this is my savings account, the oil reserves in Alaska.
Well,
because they're talking about that being like bigger than Saudi Arabia. So we're going to first pull everything out of Middle East. Once that's done, we've still got our savings account. When we don't have to buy from other people, we've still got ours. And Trump's looking at tapping into that now.
Oh, of course he is.
Right.
Well, because he looks at it and he goes, this is money, and he's a capitalist. So he's like, yes, let's do this. Right? Like, all the decisions he makes about the environment are just like, do these rules slow us down from making money? That's his question. If I relax these rules, will corporate America make more cash?
Well,
yes or no?
And I mean,
that's what he does.
Corporate America, and by extension, the entire country, right? Like, I mean, their economy right now is
right, but I mean, he's
inexplicably strong.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and we sort of veering back onto defining government is there's more to running a government than the economy. I'm not saying the economy isn't important, but there are other things you need to take into account. So, in Trump's case, he is definitely valuing the economy over everything else.
Yes.
Right?
And I mean, you understand why, right? Like, he's a businessman.
I do understand why. And that's why I think that a businessman isn't always a great idea for a leader. Right. Because for him, a win is the bottom line, right? So he just looks at, are we making money as a nation? Yes, then I'm winning.
Right.
You know, are we poisoning our children? Yes. Are we making money? Yes, then still a win. Right? Like he's repealing environmental restrictions on where people can like dump their garbage, like dump their toxic waste.
Really?
The coal stuff was like, you can't dump this crap in the river that people drink out of. And he went, no.
Right.
That is stopping coal miners from making money.
Yeah, they're
right? Like literally, it is binary for him. Will someone make a profit? Yes, pass it.
Definitely seems to be. Yeah.
Right? And I understand why he thinks that way, but there's a reason why, you know, this is one of the reasons I think the government needs to play a role in stuff like this. We need to regulate people, otherwise we poison everybody. As long as people are making money.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So
because according to, you know, capitalist philosophy, you need to incentivize people to not poison people. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, that then comes into the next step of, okay, so we've got a government that's standalone and it's operating a country. How does it play with other countries around the world? So in things like its environmental responsibility. If you're the only one being environmentally responsible and a country, we won't name names at this point, but if in a city in a country somewhere else has such bad pollution you can't actually even see 50 feet in front of you.
Right.
The earth still is screwed.
Right.
What do you do?
Well, I look at it from this perspective. Not that I'm a big follower of Gandhi, but you need to be the change you want to see. So, in my opinion, someone who's a good leader will try to lead, like a good national leader, will try to lead globally and try to set a good example. Okay. And be like, look, and this comes down to sort of being principled and, you know, sort of sticking to your guns a bit and being like, we think that pollution is a bad idea, so we're going to do whatever we can to reduce our impact pollution-wise on the environment. And if you don't do it, that's fine. But that being said, there's sort of a second part to this. You need to kind of takes sanctions against that nation.
Right. Yeah.
Right. That's the other part of it. Like it's not quite enough globally because so much of the world is economy driven. It is not enough. And I think it's so weird because I know we're not naming a country here, but for a country that's communist, they sure do whatever it takes to make a buck. Right? Have you heard of Christmas City?
No.
Google Christmas City. It is, if you're at home, Google Christmas City. It is amazing. It is a city in China, a country we are not naming, where Christmas comes from.
Christmas comes from?
Yes. Your tree, if you have a fake tree, probably comes from China. This particular city in China.
Okay, so we're not talking about Bethlehem, apparently.
No.
Seriously,
maybe throw the word China on there. Santa's Real Workshop.
That sounds closer to what we're looking for.
Yeah. Yiwu.
Yiwu?
Yeah. I work with a guy from China. I'll ask him how to pronounce that.
This is Bethlehem.
But literally, like the pictures from there are horrifying. Slack me some pictures and I'll put them up. I don't want to.
Oh, I didn't get all signed into Slack.
Oh, didn't you? Just post them in the comments.
Google, yeah, that's.
Post. Okay, so
guys,
if you're watching this, look in the comments below on the Facebook page.
Check this out. Oh my gosh!
Here, this is a perfect opportunity for me to plug the Facebook page. If you're not watching this on Facebook, go to facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. Look right now for episode 11. Look in the comments. I believe we're going to post an entire article and some pictures
from the Guardian
about Christmas City, where Christmas actually comes from. So if you have like fake Christmas tree or wreaths or any sort of Christmas decoration, basically comes from one town in China. It's not 100%, but it's close enough. And the pollution there is awful. Like, if you can find an external picture, like an external photo of what it looks like outside, you can't see, 50 feet. It's just like that. And I've seen pictures of like from within the sweatshop where people are like passed out or sleeping at their station, because they're like exhausted and they can't go home. Because Merry Christmas to you and Happy Holidays too. Anywho, my point is, if we want to be,
what were we talking about?
if we're a country that wants to be a leader in terms of environmentalism, this is what we were talking about.
Yes,
pollution, right? So let's say we're in a country called Canada, and we want to set a good example for the rest of the world, environment-wise. And we have a very large industry that is based on oil and gas. And we've decided to basically make rules that sort of hamper that particular industry. So we are purposefully going to make less money than we could because we want to have a smaller environmental impact. Which I don't have an issue with. I get why a lot of people would, but I think
we have to balance it, right?
Right, yes. There needs to be a balance there. But what winds up happening, or is happening right now, is that we put ourselves at a serious economic disadvantage against other countries.
Exactly.
Right? Now, I'm not saying that the answer here is to just be like, well, screw it. Let's just do what we can to make some money to make sure the economy's strong. Because the economy is important, but the environment's, again, like I say, you can't be poisoning kids just to make a buck.
I figure they're about 50-50 important.
I feel like we shouldn't be poisoning kids, sort of full stop. Like, we need to get that number as close to zero as possible. I think. Although, to be fair, if we have less jobs, having less kids is probably the way to go.
Right? It's kind of a problem that solves itself.
But if we put sanctions on countries that don't want to follow our lead, and we have to have some sort of metric for this, of course. But I mean, I don't know how anyone in Canada or North America would survive if we were like, we are not importing anything from China. Wouldn't happen. Like, we'd be paying, like, just for, like, anything.
Christmas would be gone.
Christmas would basically be gone. Like, you'd have to go get a real tree. And you'd probably have to go poach it. I feel like you can poach a tree, right? Which is like stealing a tree that you don't own.
Is it on your own property or something?
Well, I'm assuming it's not on your own property.
That's kind of just stealing.
Well, poaching is just a hunting term for stealing, isn't it?
We invented science for a reason. Traditionally has been defined as the illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals usually associated with land use rights.
Right. So if I go onto someone else's land and I kill a deer without their permission and I take it home, that's poaching. So if I go onto someone else's land and I steal a tree without their permission, I'm still poaching. I still took a living creature off of their property.
No, this is wild animals. If you take a tree, that's just the game we used to play in junior high.
Maybe. My point is, there has to be. You can be a leader by setting an example, but you also have to play a little bit of hardball, I guess.
Yeah,
with somebody.
You build a strong economy with balanced protection of the environment.
Mm-hmm. And I'm on record as saying we need to move out of the fossil fuel business, but I also am on record for saying that the government is responsible for helping us get out of the fossil fuel business. Incentivize
by
people
taking our money from taxes and spending it on
either retraining or subsidies for businesses that are getting
into I wasn't on board with, with this idea of the government taxing us to get us out of fossil fuels. I think they need to give tax breaks to industries that will lead us in that direction.
Sort of same. That's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
No, it's exactly the opposite.
No, it's not.
More taxes on fossil fuels. That's taking money from us and wasting it somehow.
Right, but I'm saying if they take that money and they take that money from the fossil fuels, that tax, like the carbon tax, they take that money and they put it straight into incentivizing people to get into renewables. It's the same thing as a tax break.
No, it isn't.
It is.
It isn't.
It is. So for one thing, oil companies are on board with the carbon tax. So we're okay with them. They have said so. You can Google that. I know this is true. In Alberta, all those guys up in Fort Mac that own the companies are like, yeah, carbon taxes are a great idea. Now, the fact that those guys tell me it's a great idea make me think that maybe it's not a great idea because it's not going to change anything.
Preliminary Google research seemed to support your supposition.
Right. So for everyone who's saying that carbon tax is driving the oil companies out of Alberta are probably mistaken or at least overstating the situation.
Okay.
Right?
So
these guys are like, carbon tax is... I'm not saying I don't know that they think it's great, but they're on board with it at the very least. They're like, yeah, it's fine. You should implement a carbon tax, they say. And maybe that's just from a marketing standpoint for them, where they can say, look, we're paying a carbon tax, so we are, being carbon neutral for an oil company, for a fossil fuel company. Right? But they should be, if I'm the Alberta government, I have this carbon tax money in my hands. I should be using this money in my hands to either retrain the guys that only know how to work with fossil fuels or incentivizing businesses who want to get into renewables. Like, those are the only two things that money should be used for, in my opinion.
I'm totally on board there.
I know.
I don't see
I know that
happening.
It's not. No. I know that it's not. I'm not naive. But they should say, here's how much money we've gotten from the carbon tax, and this is not coincidentally the exact same amount of money we're putting into incentivizing small businesses to get into renewables or retraining oil patch workers to work with renewables. Now, part of the issue, one issue you're going to run into is that there's a lot of money for guys to work in oil patch, and there will probably be less money for them to be, a solar panel installer or a wind turbine builder, right? So people are going. So you can't stop just because, right? Like the issue is.
Yes, let's start with the issue.
Like people are gonna have to take a pay cut. Like that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
part of that is because I think, honestly, people are being a little overpaid for their work.
I think that's understating things a little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
People were getting a lot of money. Like if you were a welder in the city, like in Edmonton, versus a welder on the oil patch, you were probably getting an extra 0 on the end of your salary.
Yeah.
Right? So good for those guys.
Now,
but
the other thing is, don't forget, oil being taken out of the ground isn't only used to produce gasoline.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It's also used to produce a bevy of other products, including Cheese Whiz.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. So
Cheese Whiz is disgusting.
I like it for another day.
I like a lot of oil-based foods. Cheese Whiz is not one of them. Cool Whip, love it.
Made by DuPont. Keep pulling the oil out. We can use it for any number of other things. So the oil sands themselves don't have to diminish.
They don't have to shut down. Like it's gonna get smaller.
We're gonna use the oil for something.
Right. But they also don't want to have all that oil out of the ground because that lowers the price of oil. Right? That's how it works? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not an oil guy.
Sort of.
I think that's sort of how it works.
Sort of. Only Venezuela's screwing up their production. So, there's plenty of production room that we can fill. And when Shell sells all of their stake in the oil sands, I feel like we've screwed something up. Like a multi-billion-dollar investment leaving Alberta, we have not done something right in the province.
So speaking of fossil fuels and renewables, the largest coal mining company, I want to say in the world, BHP.
Which one?
BHP, okay. I believe is what they're called. They recently pulled out of the World Coal Mining Association? Some giant coal mining association. So these are one of the world's, I want to say they're the biggest coal mining operation in the world, pulled out of a large coal mining association group because that group would not push renewables because they were coal first. This is a coal miners association. And the biggest member of that group was like, we are out because you are still saying that coal is number one.
BHP says it could leave global coal lobby group over climate policy.
When's that from? Today? A day ago.
A day ago.
So yeah. I don't know, like I read the article today, so maybe they pull it today, but maybe maybe they're just threatening. But my point is that these guys make their money off of pulling coal out of the ground.
Right.
And they're saying we are going to leave a group that is not lobbying for climate change, or that is still pushing coal as being number one.
I'm definitely lobbying for climate change. Right. It's been cold here too long.
Right, like positive climate change, I guess, but which for us would be warm.
We're seeing positive climate change.
Yeah, we don't have snow anymore.
Ridiculous.
We're gonna have a cold snap next week, but my theory has always been if we have like the milder, like the later we have warm, the longer we're going to have cold in the new year. And it'll be worse. And that generally is sort of, I haven't tracked it, but anecdotally, anecdotally in my brain.
Hey, I thought you wanted to be I thought you wanted to be a data scientist.
Yeah, that's new. I've been tracking this for years.
Gotcha.
The good news is all that data is online, so I could just look it up if I wanted to.
All right. So as a government, we should be globally responsible and balance the GDP against.
We should be
global-
trying to keep people alive and healthy and prosperous
for generations to come.
for generations.
All right.
So, like, let's not make a buck at the expense of human life where we can avoid it.
Don't be a jerk.
Don't dump toxic waste into the water supply. Just as a, rule of thumb.
Hey, Flint's got water that you can set on fire.
It does. Still.
Still.
It's only been 4 years or something.
God grief.
I don't even know how long it's been. That maybe not still, but I'm pretty sure still. I feel like if Flint had clean water, that would become news and I would hear about it.
Yeah. The Flint water crisis currently is listed
Ongoing.
April.
Oh, 2014 to present. I was almost right when I said 4 years. It's been 3.
It's been 3. But still.
Almost 4.
Yeah,
Like, it'll be 4 in April.
It's been 3.5.
Yeah, more than 3.5.
More than 3.5. It's not
Closer to 4 than 3.
ridiculous. Unbelievable. Okay. So that's basically our take on government.
Yeah, try to keep people healthy,
Safe.
prosperous, safe, not homeless, not starving to death.
Other than that, stay out of.
And then kind of whatever, yeah, try to, what did we say? Support good things as opposed to punish bad things.
Yeah.
Generally. I think
Keep the lobby money out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think like that right there might be the key. If anybody could figure out how to keep the government from becoming corrupted by virtue of the fact that you keep money incentives away from government involvement.
I think you need to have term limits for everybody. But they can't be too short.
See, yeah, that's a double-edged sword, right?
You don't always want brand new people in government because that's a terrible idea.
Brand new people in government with no experience is a horrible idea. Also, if the terms are too short, then all you're trying to... Currently in the States, first term is spent just trying to be reelected.
Yeah.
Except for Trump, I have no idea what he's trying to do with this first term.
Set everything on fire, I think.
It's kind of amusing, you got to admit.
Oh, yeah. No, like, I kind of wish I lived in Europe so I wasn't so close to this tire fire.
It's kind of a good way to describe it. And their second year or second term is spent not caring what happens because...
Yeah, like it's... Yeah, it's really an issue, right? Because you're right. The first term is all about getting reelected, but that's sort of a good thing, right? Like if you have to, maybe term limits are the problem. Maybe if you always have to try to be reelected, you try harder. And when you know you can't be reelected is when you stop trying. I mean, you sort of have to do something good in order to convince people to continue voting for your party. You'd think. And my understanding is that you actually get more done on your way out than on your way in.
Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump. They just flip back and forth.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So they're not really caring about getting their party reelected.
Well,
especially in a two-party system, who bloody cares? Because if you're not the government, you're the opposition. So you've always got a job.
Yeah. You still have to get elected. Like, I mean, that guy, like, you don't, like, I personally don't have a job unless I get elected, right?
Right.
The problem is that people just don't take voting seriously and
that's
elections seriously, right? Like, that's, I mean, we can sit here all day and be like, oh, Trump or Republicans or blah, blah, blah. It's the people that vote that cause this problem.
Well, and the Russians.
And the people that didn't vote. And, well, the Russians did contribute to it because they influenced the people that actually voted.
On both sides.
Yeah.
I appreciated our post about Russians everywhere.
Yeah, like I mean, and like we sort of had this discussion before where we were talking about that report from the British spy, that
The dossier,
whatever, the Steele dossier. I couldn't remember the name. The Steele dossier, right? Where we're like, you're like, the Democrats paid for that. Like, what a bunch of jerks. And I was like, yeah, the Republicans started paying for it. And yeah, like, I mean, that's just the reality is the Russians are working for anybody who will pay them.
Who's paying for it now?
Right? And whoever pays for it more gets to win.
Gets to win a bit. And,
it's
garbage. And I'm not even sure it's whoever pays for it more. I think it's...
Well,
I think the Russians are just looking for
it's whoever
influence
pays for it
and
more.
money, and I'm not sure they actually care.
I feel
wins.
I feel like the decision ultimately is up to Putin, and he's like, who am I going to benefit more from is having, being
Think
president.
he has that much sway?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Russia sounds terrifying to me. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking to chess guy, Kasparov, who is...
I was going to say Bobby Fischer.
No, a Russian chess guy.
Oh,
who is
chess guy.
persona non grata. He is no longer allowed in Russia. Because he was at the...
Kasparov isn't allowed.
Yeah. He lives in New York now, and he cannot go back to Russia. Because he went...
I feel like, why would you want to?
Well, his mom lives there.
Bring her here.
I don't think he can do that either.
Oh.
I feel like he can't do anything where Russia's concerned. He was, I was going to say involved. So you remember Pussy Riot? That whole thing?
No.
You don't know what Pussy Riot is?
Is this safe to Google?
Yes. Throw the word Russia. That might not help. But it should be fine. Maybe throw the word band. There we go. Yeah, the Wikipedia is probably good. But basically they were a band.
Okay.
Are a band. They were sort of like
from Russia.
Yeah, from Russia.
From Moscow.
And they wrote songs that were critical of Russia. And you can't really do that in Russia, and so they got
that was a silly thing to do.
Yeah, so they got thrown in jail. And there was a whole big thing about that. And Kasparov was around when they got, I think, did they get set free? I can't remember. It was either they were getting convicted or they were getting released. One of the two. But he was literally just trying to get to his... Like, he was sort of there to sort of see it, but he was sort of passing through the area to get to his hotel, and he got arrested and then, exiled from Russia, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Here, there's a mention on Wikipedia about...
Oh, he's on there.
Kasparov tried to attend the reading of the verdict.
Right.
Was arrested and beaten.
Yes. There's video, and he was like, and then the cop, one of the cops that was beating him, had said, I was beating him because he bit me, and then there's
arrested and beaten at Pussy Riot.
Right.
Pussy Riot.
And then there's photos where the cop actually had the cut on his finger from 20 minutes previous to beating Kasparov. Which doesn't matter, because in Russia...
Not in Russia, it doesn't matter.
In Russia, if you're a cop, they just believe you. Full stop. And I'm not even making that up.
I know. Yeah.
That is just full stop. You can show them video evidence, but if the cop says, no, he bit me, I don't care what that says, the courts go, oh, okay, well, then he bit you. That is Russian courts for you. So Kasparov lives in New York now and has for about 4 years or whenever that happened. I think it's been 4 years. And anyways, so his explanation of Russia is Putin pretty much controls everything.
All right. Well,
and he's got more experience with Russia than I do, so I'm willing to believe him.
So until one of our viewers can give us credible experience.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like, yes, Putin does have that level of sway over. I mean,
over an election, because it's still the American people that are voting,
right? But so the Russians are really good at propaganda, really, really good at it. They do it better than
100 years experience.
Right? They've done it. They do it better than anyone else.
Yeah.
So if you pay them to propagandize for your party, or they just decide, I want to propagandize for your party, they will. and you will win because they are better at it than anyone else in the world.
Business idea.
Getting into propaganda?
Get Russia to propagandize for me.
Well, there was like all these sites that all those like a lot of those like quote unquote fake news sites that are actual fake news sites and not just what Trump calls the New York Times and CNN, but like real fake news sites. 75% of them are from Russia. They're based out of Russia, and all they do is make up stories and then share stories with each other.
That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And they get all these hits,
scary,
and then they say, they start writing stories about how Hillary should be in prison, and then everyone goes, "Oh, Hillary should be in prison.
She should be in prison."
Well, maybe you only think that because of the Russians. You don't know anymore. Do you?
I don't know.
Maybe all the sources of everything that told you that Hillary did wrong was just Russian propaganda. I'm not just saying that. Like that could be true. I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know what I believe anymore.
That's the key, right? Like, it's so hard in this day and age of the internet to know what's real, what's not, what's opinion, what's fact.
It's terrifying. Like, people are so easily swayed, and we forget that, right? Like, everyone thinks, "Oh no, I've never fell for something like that." Well, if you've ever seen a Coca-Cola ad, then you bought a Coca-Cola, guess what? You
fell for it.
You're just as susceptible as the rest of us to being persuaded by things.
Definitely as susceptible as me. All right.
All right, that was our government thing. I like that. We should do this every week. Every week we'll have a new definition of what we think government should do.
A new definition? And we'll play with a new governmental ideology.
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, because what we have wasn't capitalism, it wasn't socialism, it was somewhere in the middle. Like a democratic
it really
socialism.
wasn't. Yeah, I agree.
Sort of like Canada.
Imagine that. 2 Canadians came up with a Canadian-based government.
Yeah. Canada's not so bad.
Well, right now it is, but...
Wow. I mean, it has its problems. Could be worse.
It could be worse. Could be worse. And with that, we come to our Kickstarter crystal ball.
We have a good one this week. Because it's a special show, I could have had like 3 or 4. There was a lot of really god-awful Kickstarters I found today.
Tis the season to have awful Kickstarters.
Yeah, like I always say, I don't like picking bad ones, but I really do like picking bad ones. They're more fun.
Bad ones that you pick.
They are more fun.
Okay, the Progress app.
Oh, I gotta open my other document, but go ahead.
Get the document open. The Progress app, the app that endeavors to bring civil discourse to contentious issues.
Right. Is this done? This is done now,
It's
right?
done.
Did it get its money?
No, it did not.
Ooh, how much did it end with?
It got $365 pledged.
Wow.
Out of its $10,000. Like, this is
It was doing so poorly, I don't even have it in my spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I think both of us sort of voted against this. I wanted it to go, sorta, but I didn't think it would.
It's a noble idea.
Yeah.
But not going to be a business that's going to work.
New.
Okay, what else do we got here? We've got the Shellback smartphone case.
I actually almost suggested this to somebody today.
Really?
So every month I have to go to a safety meeting, which is like super frustrating because I work in an office. And
paper cuts kill.
I wish it was even that relevant to me.
It's not.
But so one of the things that came up, because we were talking about like Christmassy stuff, someone was like, "Don't drink and drive," and then someone else was like, "Don't text and drive," which is, fair. And they said that, and I immediately thought of the Shellback.
No,
I did, and I was like, I almost brought it up, but I was like, in my head, I was like, there's a product on Kickstarter that could solve this problem for you.
I don't think it could.
No, because she's like, don't text and drive, and what you should do is like, maybe put your phone in the trunk or just somewhere where you can't access it. And I was like, somewhere you can't access it? Like a shellback? So the shellback we had last week, they had 8,749 buckaroos out of 30.
So it's done now. It got 95.43.
95.43.
So it got
Oh, wait,
almost...
this was done last week. I should have removed that from the list. That is my bad, because...
Was done already?
I have Kickstarted no right next to it. Although it made more money. I don't know.
I think it was almost done.
Maybe it was almost done. Maybe I put down the no preemptively.
Preemptively.
Okay, so
it finished on December 11th.
43. I'll just switch.
I
that
can't do the
number
math
around.
right now to figure out.
When did it end? December 11th?
Yeah.
Then it was done last week. It made more money.
Yeah. I don't understand.
I don't understand.
All right. Well,
POV lamp.
hey, Rana Computing.
Rana Computing. Why don't I have these in order? That's okay.
I don't know. Funding canceled.
Oh man, these guys.
Look at that. They only had $95.
That's 60 more bucks than last week.
Really?
35 was the last week's.
They had
so-
$95 of their $20,000 goal.
I'm gonna put down. I'm gonna put a giant C for canceled.
They decided maybe they wouldn't quite get their goal in time.
What a bunch of jerks. Cowards.
Cowards. Like, just own
I
it.
think, 1 week, what we need to do, 1 episode, 1 week, we need to just sit down and try to think of something that we can kickstart. I think we should
do
do
a kickstarting brainstorm.
Yeah, like we should do just like a really simple app, like really simple. Like an app where all it does is answer a yes or no question. And so you open up the app and it either says yes or no to whatever. I think that's the easiest thing we can legitimately build. That's not going to take me a lot of time.
Magic 8-ball app.
Yes.
We'll sit down with a bottle of bourbon and a sketch pad.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we will totally prototype. We'll use your whiteboard. We'll prototype an app, and then try to figure out how much money we can ask for on Kickstarter, and then we'll ask for it on Kickstarter.
Yes.
We should almost do that like every week and just have like 50 Kickstarters going and see what gets money.
See which one bites.
Yeah. See what people go for. That's actually not a terrible idea. I think that's a show I would watch.
That's half a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's come up with the other half.
Thank you, Bourbon.
All right. POV lamp.
Mm-hmm.
This has 64 hours to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just under 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So by next week, we'll know if we'll know that they for sure didn't get it.
Mm-hmm. Cam, if you're watching this, I'll be able to tell you at the party on Saturday.
Yep. There's a party on Saturday?
Well, no, you're not invited.
All right, then. I'm hoping to actually be snowboarding this Saturday.
There you go.
This is the one that's in Swiss francs.
Okay, so last week, I believe this is in Swiss francs on my spreadsheet, 41,163.
They're up 42,147.
42,147. I'm going to have to change my data collection here at some point.
I don't think they're going to make it.
No, they're looking for 120, so they're not even halfway there.
No.
We both said this would go. We're bad forecasters.
Ooh, we took a miss on this. I think, again, they've got an Instagram account.
We have one of those. Oh, I was going to post stuff on it, and I forgot. I forgot.
I
was going to post the picture
After the
of the
show,
cookies and the bourbon. Yeah, we can.
After the show, we'll post a bunch. We'll post how much we got through on the bourbon.
So far.
That's an alarming amount.
Mm-hmm. I have to work tomorrow.
I might have to work tomorrow.
Well, I have to sit at a desk tomorrow.
Well, I definitely have to sit at a desk, whether or not I have to work at that desk or not. I feel like the POV lamp, they Yeah, I mean, we both said if they hit the industrial or the commercial market, this might be.
Yeah, this would be like if I owned a bar, I would try to if I owned a bar and I had the budget, I would try to buy these. Absolutely, I would. But beyond that, I would not.
Yeah, I would not buy this.
I think this is a
home.
terrible thing to have in my house, but a cool thing to have in a bar. But I don't own a bar, so they don't get any of my money.
Can we kickstart a bar?
Probably. You can kickstart anything. You can try to kickstart anything. But if you want to kickstart a bar, you need to drop a business plan because I am useless in that capacity.
I can do that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we need a Kickstarter episode.
We'll have more than one. I think we should have... We'll try to shoot for maybe one a quarter or something next year. 4 Kickstarter episodes where we brainstorm something to kickstart.
That's a good idea.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, I like that.
How about that, Internet?
Haha!
So if you have any ideas that you don't mind us stealing, post them on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Bourbon Zeppelins.
And we'll partner with you. And we'll build.
What we will
an
do
empire.
is you can kickstart it, and we will give you credit. We'll put your name somewhere on the product.
On the masthead.
Yeah, like if we have a bar, we'll get a little metal plate, and we'll put your name on it, and we'll stick it on a wall somewhere, like in a can, over a urinal.
On a wall somewhere? Okay.
Oh, we'll dedicate a toilet roll holder to you.
I would actually go for that.
Right?
That would be not bad.
Like, I can't drop a business plan, but if you want stretch goals, I'm your guy. Nothing but terrible ideas
That
are slightly better than what's normally on Kickstarter.
well, we've got all the examples of what's
But
bad on
not
it.
to do.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that, the dichotomy keyboard mouse.
This is my favorite thing that's not going to get kickstarted.
It's my favorite. That's exactly right. My favorite thing that's not going to get kickstarted.
This lost money. Oh, no, that's the wrong thing.
We've got.
Okay. No, that did lose money.
What?
How is that possible? Can you take back a Kickstarter? I have its goal is 20,000.
Yeah.
But I have its last week total is 1403.
Did you record it in Swiss francs?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Okay, well,
So we've got bad data here. So today it's at 1092.
1092 today. Dichotomy keyboard and mouse. This is the really unique one that we really like, but would never use.
Yeah, this is like the kind of thing that should get kickstarted, but in my opinion, obviously wouldn't. Jeremy's opinion was like, yeah, sure, people will kickstart this. How many days they got? They have 11 days. 11 days to make up.
So when we're back from Christmas break,
$19,000. So no show next week? Is that what you're saying? 27th?
I'm in town.
Me too.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Maybe a show next week. No guarantees.
There'll probably be a show of sorts next week. Okay, and that brings us to today's Kickstarter crystal ball. We've got play dates for dogs. What the crap?
Yeah, this is the greatest thing. So I had a lot of options today.
It's from Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's American, so it must be good. Let me switch.
There's no part of that sentence that made any sense.
Can you just check the stream real quick? Make sure I switched over to the right thing in a second here. Now we're just quiet, not doing anything. There we go.
There we go.
All right, so this is play dates for dogs. So I had a couple of options here. And I almost didn't go with this one, but I ran it past a couple of people at work. They were like, you got to do play dates for dogs. So play dates for dogs is sort of what it sounds like. It is an app for dog owners who want to set up play dates for their dogs. So you can do things like, put in the breed and the temperament and the size of your dog and the things they like. Now, what they don't say on this page, I don't think. Let's do a quick check. Control F. Let's look for the word Tinder. No, they do not call this Tinder for dogs, but they should, because this is Tinder for dogs.
See, I would get on board with that.
Right? These guys don't know how to sell anything. Playdates for... Okay, first of all, Playdates for Dogs is not a good name. Because they could have called it Playdates for Pups. Which has P's. 2 P's. It has alliteration.
And other things I learned about in grade 7.
Right? Like I get dates and dogs. Doesn't sound right in the head. Playdates for pups. Or puppies, right? Makes them sound young and sexy, which is what you want out of a dating app.
Puppy playdates.
Puppy Playdates. We're already doing better.
It's true. We definitely have more than 0.
Right.
And which is what they have.
and these guys have a website. You can go to playdatesfordogs.com.
Oh, I need to go to that.
There's not a whole lot there, to be totally honest with you. But they do have it was a very slow loading website as I recall, but it might have just been my internet connection. Oh, yeah, it's way better now. I guess I could. Playdates for Dogs.
Where it's a dog meets dog world.
I probably didn't type anything anywhere. I did not.
This isn't a website. This is a landing page.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, check out, we got a Kickstarter. You can put your email in and get notified about this. At any rate.
We rough our community?
I believe that's we...
It says, we rough our community.
Yeah. But it also has a heart around it. So it's we rough love our community.
I believe that's better.
I believe this is a dating app for BDSM dogs.
What?
So you better have a leather collar for your cockatoo. Cocker spaniel?
Cocker spaniel. Cockatoo's that's
a bird.
That's a bird.
Okay, that's not a dog. But a cocker spaniel is a dog. You better have a leather collar for your dog for Playdates for Dogs.
Woo.
Have a... What does that say? Fanlabulous. Fanabulous? Fanlabus?
Fanlabulous.
Okay, that's like not even a word.
I feel like they're trying to throw lab in the middle of fabulous.
Well, why not say falabulous? Or have a labulous day? Have a labulous day. That rhymes with fabulous. I would get that. Okay, look, Playdates for Dogs, if you're watching this, send me money. I will help you be better at writing shit for your website.
Okay, so...
Please.
So, I mean, Tinder for Dogs basically sums it up in...
Sums it up. I will say... Oh, we can actually play the video with sound this time.
Hey, we got technology to do that.
Dog lovers, have you ever wished there was a way to find great play pals for
Give
your
it a
pup?
try.
How do you think your dog would feel if
Okay,
you showed
good.
him
Looks
that
like
you
sound's
care
going through.
by searching and
Going.
reaching out to different
Wanna check
pals
the
for him or her to play with? An amazing app is available that
Yeah,
will
just
allow you to search, invite, review, and find great meeting places.
Yeah, good.
You can
Okay,
even
we got
ask
sound. We got
questions, find
that
answers,
sound coming.
post pics and videos.
So this
app will
is
make it easy
Tinder for
your pup to
Dogs, though they
find
don't
and
say
make
it.
new friends.
And frankly, that's the way they should be
Parents always
marketing
sought out
it,
playmates for their children.
in my
Isn't
opinion.
it time you do the same for your four-legged
Like, obviously, it's
children?
not for dogs.
Playdates for
I'm
Dogs,
assuming it's not
where
for
it's
the
a dog
breed,
meets
just
dog
to play.
world.
See, that would be a whole different app.
Right. Which is actually also a perfectly good thing to maybe try doing. Is that actually might not be a bad app for people who want to breed dogs.
Yeah.
Tinder, like real Tinder for dogs and not fake Tinder for dogs.
Well, I see this. The interesting thing is, this would actually be. Do they talk about the dog owners at all?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but I know where you're going with this. We're
Because
like
this
two people who have dogs who are looking for love.
Who? I mean,
If you're a single
Not-
dog owner,
not necessarily for love, but I mean,
wow, for lust.
possible love,
Yeah.
friendship, for whatever.
Like
Like
trying to swap an STD or something.
they're STIs now.
Whatever.
All right,
I'm an old man. It's an STD.
I agree. I mean,
What was the other thing that I thought of here? I kind of thought. Now, I'm not a parent, but I feel like play dates for kids may be more useful. Because kids don't just go out and play anymore, is my understanding, if the internet has taught me anything. And you have to schedule everything, right?
Yes and no. I mean, we've done things both ways. Like in the summer, we'll go out to the local park, kids will meet kids.
Right.
Still happens that way.
Do kids like play street hockey in the street in front of your house? Does that happen?
Not in front of my house.
No, but like would
not so much in my neighborhood.
Have you ever seen street hockey in your neighborhood?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Like, do you know like where any of the other kids live in your neighborhood? Like, are your friends? Do your kids have friends in the neighborhood? I guess is my question.
And I don't know where they live, but my wife does.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah, that still does happen.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like because my kids don't go to school like in the neighborhood, they go to school outside our neighborhood. There are still like play dates scheduled with parents and things like this. So it happens both ways. I'm
just like I have zero.
reason
to know any of this, but like based on what the internet tells me, it's kids do not have friends in their neighborhood, and you constantly have to schedule time for them to play.
Depending on how your household,
I'm sure that happens.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's based on a true story.
We have a crazy busy schedule,
and
so. I mean, to some extent, like we have to. If my kids are getting together with their friends, we have to schedule.
Do you think this would be good for kids? Play dates for kids?
See, I feel Facebook works better there.
Facebook works okay for that.
Yep, because we're generally Facebook friends with our kids' friends' parents.
That's probably a good idea.
So that tends to be a way that we interconnect there.
Right.
So I mean. Apps are trying to take a one-off interaction that Facebook already facilitates.
Right.
In this case. So I feel like this is also going to be the same way. You could easily create a Facebook group in your geographical area because you're not going to want to go outside your geographical area.
Also true.
So dog play dates in this area. You create a Facebook group like that, it catches on. Instead of creating one-to-one connections, then you create like a community. Facebook, I think, is already going to cover this in a more
and dog book is sort of a thing, right? Like there are people who have.
What?
Well, I don't know if you can go to dogbook.com, but dog book is sort of like where people create Facebook pages for their dogs.
Oh. Yeah, that's going to be.
Right? So like that already sort of exists. So I feel like if you have a Facebook page for your dog, a dog book page, if you will, that people will be able to find your dog. If they also have a dog, and you'd be able to connect. So one of the things, like they do say in their risks that we probably aren't the only app in this market. But what they don't sort of mention is that we're kind of competing with Facebook already.
Yeah, with Facebook functionality.
Yeah, like they might not realize it because, I sort of forgot that dog book was a thing until we were having this conversation. But dog book is a thing.
Yeah, well now it's 3 million dogs.
They have 3 million dogs. And
3milliondogs.com.
And, sorry. I thought they were just giving me a statistic. So 3milliondogs.com.
Formerly Dogbook.
Formerly Dogbook. So they probably have at least 3 million dogs on there. These guys probably have 0 dogs because their app hasn't launched yet. Or they probably have 3 dogs, like whoever works there.
So they've got 28 days to go today.
They do.
They've got a goal of $50,000 US.
Right.
They've currently raised
$0.
$0.
They're at 0.
Have 0
now,
backers. So
that being said,
they're fresh out of the gate, right?
Fresh out of the gate.
Okay.
This is again, like I say, every week I do this. I find stuff that launched that day. So they launched this morning. So it's not shocking to me that they have $0.
No, that's not an indictment of their idea.
Right.
We are an indictment of their idea.
Now, these guys actually, like of all the Kickstarters I've seen, well, the vast majority of them, this is one of the most professional. These guys have put thought into this.
Good.
Like if you read their site, like their Kickstarter page, they have listed market risk, competitive risk, financial risk, and a key resource risk, which are things that you should list that no one ever lists, right?
Yeah.
Right. These are like I say, I don't know how to make a business plan. I know how to do a SWOT. These are the kind of things you should maybe throw on there, right?
Yeah.
They have a whole section for risks and challenges that makes sense. They explain how they're going to spend the contributions because I looked at this and I was like, 50 grand, and I was like, to build this app. The app is basically built. They just want the money for marketing, and I think that might actually bite them in the butt.
In what way?
Because I think people don't want to fund other people's marketing budget. I think if they said, we want your money to build something, people would be more inclined to do so. Because you feel like you're contributing to something useful.
That's being constructed, not being sold.
Something tangible, right?
I absolutely agree.
And marketing,
so,
if I want your money so I can buy Facebook ads, which isn't what they say here, thankfully. But I mean, like, not directly, but they do say, we're going to spend it on marketing. Like, people aren't going to be like, oh, you know what I hate? Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, and I mean, good for them for being honest. Maybe they should have played that down a little bit.
Well, yeah, they should have repositioned.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a nice way of saying not told the whole truth here. Because I do believe in transparency. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you got to be transparent. And I'm glad that they are being transparent and they're being honest. But they need to frame this a little differently other than, we almost have the app done. We just need money for marketing.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, they should have reframed the.
There's a way to say that
the position they're in
without saying it that way.
Pay for our advertising.
Yeah. Because I read it, and that's how I see it, is you want me to pay for your advertising.
Yeah, so that's a weakness. Conceptually, I actually like the idea.
Yeah. Like I don't actually think this is a bad idea.
The objective is good.
Yeah. I think this app is going to launch whether this Kickstarter goes or not. I think they're right, actually, in trying to get money for marketing, because that's where apps lose out. Like, anyone can go write an app. I can write an app. I have I had two apps on the Apple Store for a long time, which I think are totally out of date. They're out of my hands now. So, I don't know. But it's so democratic. Just anyone can put something up there. But you need to draw eyes to it because there's so much competition, so much noise in the App Store that in order for you to stand out, you need to market. These guys aren't wrong about that. I just don't think that people want to spend money on someone else's marketing budget.
Yeah, that may have been a misstep for them.
Like, people don't like ads generally. Like, if you ask anyone, do you like ads? They're like, no. Unless it's the Super Bowl, no. Right?
True story. Yep.
Right? And would you give someone money to put an ad out? No. Right? Of course not. Because the first step in getting someone to do something that you want, and I'm sort of saying this message out to anyone who is advocating for anything. If you want someone to do something for you, they have to like you. And they have to, before they even like your idea. But you have to be offering something that holds value for somebody. And nobody looks at ads and goes, yes, this holds value for me. Nobody, except marketers.
Right.
Which, I'm in marketing, so sort of peripherally.
Now, in extension to this, all of their rewards are all marketing based.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I thought this was a good idea. Because I was like, oh man, it better not be like $60 and you get the app or something like that, right?
No, because you see $1, you get the bumper sticker. $30, you get 2 bumper stickers. That doesn't make sense.
No, they did that dumb. They didn't think that through. And all this stuff is only to the States.
So if you give me $1, I'll give you 1. If you give me $30, I'll give you 2.
Not 30, like you might expect, but 2. Or like 35 for a bulk discount, but whatever.
$60, I'll give you 3. No, I'm kidding.
That would be funny.
$60, you get a baseball hat and 2 bumper stickers.
The problem is I don't like if okay. So what they need here,
And this is PD4D. Play dates for dogs.
Yeah.
I'm like the acronym is
so
weak.
like if their logo is what it looks like in their video, I don't want that on anything.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not a.
Here's what they should have done.
That's not a great branded.
Here, and this is good ideas for us. Like if we have something that's easy to build,
When we go,
and we
we're
don't
going to take our own advice.
if we don't need to get money to actually pay someone to develop anything, we should pay a designer
Yes.
to design something that doesn't look bad.
Like crap. So if you're watching this and are a designer, we're developers.
I know so many designers.
Never mind.
I'm gonna give, if we kickstart money for design, I will give that money to a friend who designs.
So if you're a friend of ours and happen to be watching,
And if you're
this,
watching this, you probably are. Realistically, you probably know us.
for the time being,
Yeah, for now. It's only episode 11. If this is episode 111,
good for us.
there'd be a 1 in 10 chance that you're not a friend of ours.
I'm trying to. We've had a lot of bourbon this episode. All right.
Right. So,
Yeah, they should have.
do you think this? Right. So, what I think should have happened here was we need a designer, because looking at it, I think they need a designer, and I would believe them. And
I would believe that. That's the nicest way to say your copy looks like
I
crap.
would believe them. Like this is like I wouldn't wear a hat that had that.
No.
I wouldn't use a bumper sticker that had this logo on. I just wouldn't do it.
Who puts bumper stickers on their vehicles?
Yeah, I'm sort of
that's-
weirded out that that's still a thing. I'm with you. Every time I see a bumper sticker on a car, I'm like, so you buy these, huh? Right? Like I'm like you're never selling that.
I just assume bumper stickers are given away. Nobody pays money for a bumper
but
sticker.
who
do
puts
they?
them on their car? Like you put it on your car, you're telling me you're never selling your car. Because if you try to take it off, you're taking the paint with it. And if you leave it on there, you have to sell to someone who agrees with whatever's on that bumper sticker.
And maybe their student wasn't, or maybe their child wasn't an honor student.
I do kind of, now that you say that, I do sort of want to put one of those bumper stickers on my car. Just like, for like a bunch of different schools. I want to go from school to school and get like honor student bumper stickers and stick them on the back of my car.
Just plastered all over the
Be
back
hilarious. Like 30 schools. People behind me be like, how many kids do you have? Or how often do you move?
Sperm donor.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, so, okay. So the logo needs work, I think.
They're not getting this. My vote's no.
The pledges are not well thought out.
I don't want to buy expensive bumper stickers.
Yeah. Like, if I want 2 of these, I'm pledging $2. $1 twice.
Gotta say.
That's what's happening. I'm not pledging 30.
What they're counting on here is they're counting on...
Bad math?
No, I'm not going to say bad math. I'm going to say they're counting on someone who's altruistic.
Yeah,
who wants
for sure.
to support them, right?
I mean, to be fair, the pet market is huge. There is so much money in pets. So much.
They're looking at a good market.
They are in a good market, and they are looking at getting people who love spending money on their pet.
It's ridiculous how much money gets spent on pets.
Like,
that's absolutely
I don't
true.
even have to do market research to tell you that. I just know this. Everyone knows this.
Well, there's been so much. Yeah, there's been so much market research that's been just filtering down and has told us this.
So what's the most you can pledge? 10 grand. Major branding for your favorite dogs. Your dogs featured on the PD40 homepage for 1 year. Plus 4 hoodies, 4 baseball hats, 8 really cool bumper stickers. So they're probably different from the bumper stickers that I think they're giving out.
They've got 2 different type of bumper stickers.
To wear and display proudly. 10 grand. I get my dogs on a homepage of a website. I could build a website for less than $10,000. I can build one for free and put dogs on it. Anybody's.
Yeah, but not anybody can build a website.
That should be our Kickstarter. Send me $5 and I will put a picture of your dog on a website. And we'll get the domain picturesofdogsonawebsite.com. That must be available.
Copyright December 2017.
Look it up. I might buy it on the weekend.
Before the video hits YouTube. Yeah,
we have a smaller audience on YouTube than we do on Facebook Live.
That's a good point.
Anyway, so for 10 grand you could be an idiot, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if any of these go, I actually wouldn't be surprised if the $10,000 one went. Because there are people out there who think it's worth $10,000 to put pictures of my dog on a website.
Really?
I am convinced of it. So how much, what are they asking for, 20? 50? 50. They're asking
50.
for 50.
That's a nice big marketing budget.
It is. Like, I feel like if they were going for marketing, like for a marketing budget, they could have maybe asked for a little less and maybe re-kickstarted. Like, if they got, like, so let's say they asked for 20. I think that, like, they have a way better chance at 20 than 50. They get 20, they market it, and then they kickstart again, because people clearly kickstart more than once on stuff.
Yeah. All right.
So you're saying no?
I'm saying no.
I also say no. I think even if this goes to like a puppy blog. No and no. I'll put those into the spreadsheet. Sorry, what was the goal again? Was
50,000.
50,000, and they're currently at 0, correct?
Correct.
And no. Ugh, no and no. I can almost... I'm tempted to put the no in the kickstarted column, but I'll be nicer than that.
Not yet.
I will be nicer than that. All right, so that was the Kickstarter Crystal Ball. Let us know what you think about Playdates for Pups. Oh, wait, it's not called that. Playdates for Dogs, PD40. It's Fanlabulous. Fanlabulous. I hate whoever thought that was a good idea.
I really do.
Like, I don't know you, but I just hate you. Yeah. So that's been that. If you're watching us on YouTube, check us out, facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. If you're watching us anywhere, check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins, or on Twitter, twitter.com/BNZ Show. Our Instagram is sporadic in terms of
posting
activity, which is to say we don't post very often. We will be posting some stuff on Instagram tonight because we have stuff to take pictures of.
Yeah.
Facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins live every Wednesday-ish.
8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Mountain Standard or Daylight, depending on where we're at. But just, yeah. So like 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
8 p.m.
I always say Mountain Time because I never know if we're in Daylight or Standard.
We switch back and forth.
all the time. So I just say mountain, and I assume you can.
Not all the time, only twice a year.
I assume you can figure it out from that information. If you can't, the best thing to do is to go to the page, facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins, and just follow us. And then you'll get, what are they called? Notifications.
Click on the notify me.
You'll get that. Yeah. You know, I try my best to schedule a live video so you can just be like, send me a reminder for this. But sometimes I don't do that until like half an hour before the show. Sometimes I do it like 6 days before the show, and that's too early. So I don't do that.
That's too much.
That screws everything up. Because if you click the watch video button on our page, it tries to show the latest. And the latest, it might be the scheduled video. So then it just shows a blurry Zeppelin.
Blurry Zeppelins are fun.
Well, I mean, all Zeppelins are fun.
It's true.
Have you ever been on a Zeppelin? Or
No.
an airship? Me neither.
None of the sort. That'll be.
You ever been on a hot air balloon?
No.
We should do a hot air balloon.
In the new year.
Just you and me.
Zeppelin.
Be really romantic.
And maybe a pilot.
And someone who knows what they're doing.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
We'll
how to
pack
get
a
us-
picnic. We'll get some fancy cheeses. We'll get a charcuterie
And bourbon.
and bourbon. I'm assuming it's legal to drink in a hot air balloon. So they bring champagne
As
all
long
the
as
time.
you're not like the one piloting the hot air balloon,
Right?
it should be fine.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I can't drive around sober and have a bunch of people passing around a bottle of bourbon in my car.
No, but you can in an aircraft.
Oh, well, we should all be flying. That's what I learned today.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. So one more time, in case you didn't hear it before, Facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. Instagram.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins. Twitter.com/BNZ
Show.
Also, for us, go to YouTube.com, search for Bourbon and Zeppelins. We will post the link in the comments. We are looking to get 100 subscribers. We are 1/10 of the way there.
Are we at 10th?
Yeah, we are at 10, I believe. I might be wrong.
This is going to take forever.
It will take forever. It's taken us 11. Well, actually, it took us 10 weeks to get to 10. So it'll take us 100 weeks to get to 100 if that's how math works.
If that's how math works.
Do that so we can get a custom URL. That is our goal. I feel like we will have made it if we can get a custom URL on YouTube. YouTube.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins would be awesome, but right now it's a random string of characters. So just search for Bourbon and Zeppelins or look on Facebook.com/Bourbon and Zeppelins, and we hit just pin to the top of the page, you know, where you can find all of our social media. YouTube is one of those links. Do that. Until next week, friends, don't drink and drive. Have a Merry Christmas. Don't text and drive. Think of some Kickstarter ideas for Jeremy and I to steal, but keep in mind they have to be real simple because I'm lazy and not very bright.
And don't have much time.
And that. I've got other things to do, like...
Drink.
Yeah.
And eat cookies.
Yeah, both those things. All right. Later, Gators.
Have a good one.